Well, good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome indeed. I tell you what, we never thought this day would come, but PCF1 is back here at PSGL, and it's great to be back too. I'm returning as well, full-time here at PSGL for the start of a brand new PC season. My name, of course, being George Morgan. Alongside me is the one, the only Irishman in league racing. Well, certainly the Irishman I deal with, Jack Kinnan. How you doing, my friend?
I'm so great. Thank you for that great introduction, I suppose. Yeah, great to be back. Great to have you back, George, full-time. And 147 days, I think it was, since we last had PSGL F1. We've missed it. The drivers are on time tonight, and we're about to get into qualifying in a couple of seconds' time.
We certainly are. The drivers are back, folks. Fresh from F1 Esports, of course. No Lucas Blakely, for the mere reason that he is taking a break, and also he has Race of Champions as well to worry about. But we are going to be stacked, of course, tonight. We've got some big names. Jarno Opmeer marking his return as well, looking to take yet another crown and recapture his title. And the journey starts here tonight, Jack Kinnan.
It does indeed, yeah. So we are guaranteed a new champion. Not necessarily a new champion, but definitely not a back-to-back champion this year. So some interesting names. It's a wet qualifying start to Q1. The rain's already coming down in Australia to get us kicked off this season. So no intermediates on a dry track. It's intermediates on a wet track for once. A couple of changes as well in driver lineup as well for today. A couple of drivers that couldn't make it. Tomek Prajic, unfortunately, not able to make it today. So Ismail Fassi comes in for him. Change at AlphaTauri as well there. We'll go through all of those when we get a chance to do so. Ruben Pedreño filling in at AlphaTauri today. But interesting start to qualifying, George. It is wet and unusually very un-Australian weather we've got.
Very un-Australian, Jack Kinnan. And I have to tell you, folks, that could throw a complication in terms of the race. How long will it be wet for? That is the big question. We will find out, of course, when we deep dive later on into the racing action, of course. PSGL brought to you, or powered by GT Omega, and also Williams Esports, who are having or holding an event to, well, certainly host their new esports lounge, of course, trying to unveil it to the public. And I will be making an appearance there as well next week on the 26th. Do not miss it. That's next Thursday. Tickets available, of course, down in the description, as well as in the live chat as well. They'll be able to prompt you as to where you can get those from. But yes, great to have you all with us today, folks. I'm excited. Jack, we're going to head over to qualifying now. Give us your thoughts. What's it like around Australia?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, I haven't really seen much of it in the wet, so I guess this will be an interesting experience. But Ismail Fassi is the man who takes us round. He is the honour of being the first car on track here in PSGL F1 PC for this season. Joining up at Alfa Romeo, filling in for Tomek Prajic, as we said as well. Pedreño in at AlphaTauri. The other change is Will Lewis is in the Ferrari, filling in this week there. So some interesting changes, of course. But the man who's going to be looking, I think, George, for a almost redemption arc, not quite a redemption arc, but to get himself back in the PSGL history books. Jarno Opmeer back on the grid with, I think, a new vengeance into this season.
Yeah, I know he's been looking to try and recapture his crown. Lucas Blakely took it in, albeit a season that was cut short. There was an opportunity for the Flying Dutchman to net his third PSGL PC title. Wasn't to be, though, and is now got to try and win it back this season. All starts here at Melbourne, at Albert Park. Ismail Fassi, one of the, I suppose, the great improvers, one of the sort of gone under the radar kind of talents, Jack Kinnan. We watched him during the All-Star event, and he was absolutely superb. Who could forget that superb overtake at Singapore, the double overtake around Singapore? He was a pleasure to watch, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really is, and I think he's on a lot of people's radar, so this is an opportunity now for him to once again prove himself in a, I suppose, a proper race scenario right now. But he already has overtaken the season already, overtaken the year so far at Singapore with that double move up the inside, coming up towards the bridge section. But yeah, he's definitely one to watch for this season, and as well, whenever he does get a chance to hop in the car. And well, he's got a chance to do it at the first round of the season, as Tomek Prajic was just not able to prepare. There's a couple of others as well that we have to mention as well. Philip Preschneider in at Alpine as well, filling in for Patrick Sipos, who of course was doing Le Mans Virtual last week and didn't really have the time to put into practicing Australia. So Preschneider back in, is a previous PSGL winner, let's not forget, and his previous title contender back in the first season of this. And as well in at Williams, different colours for him normally, George, Duncan Hoffland in at Williams.
Yeah, surprised to see him in blue. Usually we see him in green, but here tonight in the Williams car, as we now watch Ismail Fassi making his way through the latter sector now. He's going to be heading down through turn 14, 15, very soon 16. And he'll then cement his lap. But in fact, it's 12, 13 and 14 in actual Formula One terms. Of course, 2 corners now been taken away in recent years, as now Fassi comes up towards the line to set his first lap of this occasion. 125.435 gets us underway. And the first lap time of the season here in PSGL PC, season 32.
Yeah, that's the first one out of the way. Jake Benham is also out on the track as well, but he is on a set of the full wet tyres, so he's actually saving a set of inters for this next part of qualifying. But I reckon we should start seeing the rain possibly clear up towards the end of this qualifying session at the very least, because it doesn't look like it's coming down very hard, or it doesn't look like it's going to get any worse. So let's wait and see what happens. But either way, this could be an interesting end to qualifying. If it starts clearing up really close to the end, that could throw some surprises, as you see Luke Smith going second by just a couple of thousandths of a second, 7,000ths of a second between himself and Ismail Fassi. And the Pedreño's coming out of the final corner now. Again, he's filling in. Another man who's impressed across league racing in the past year and a bit or so. And Ruben Pedreño now trying to show what he's capable of as well. I think another one who's possibly F1 Esports bound in the near future.
Yeah, he's got a great chance. He's been touted for a future seat. We'll have to wait and see whether he can grab one. But if he can enlist great performances in PSGL, it will certainly go a long way to achieving that. Many drivers now out on track looking to set lap times. Alvaro Carreton goes 5th fastest with a 126.091. Obviously, it's unclear at this stage whether the track will dry up during this session, but with 12 minutes to go in this immediate, still looks very, very wet out there. Intermediate tyres still being donned by many of the drivers. Jake Benham going rather slowly in the latter sector. Will no doubt be looking to go again. Marcel Kiefer also marks his return here at PSGL. Makes his way around Lakeside Drive now, before he then ventures in towards turn 9 and 10, where he'll commence the last sector here at Melbourne and the Albert Park circuit. As he now makes his way through this fast section, you can take this one near enough flat out. Rumbles over the curbs, though, quite aggressively. And that might cost him. We've got a yellow flag as well. There's a Ferrari just in front of him. That, of course, belonging to Fabrizio Donoso. Probably sits 4th fastest himself as well. Around turn 11, turn 12 very shortly. Turn 13 will be coming up next, as well as 14, which will be the final corner on this circuit. Can he topple Ismail Fassi's time as he now ventures through the final bend now, taking a nice aggressive tight line through turn 14. Across the line for Marcel Kiefer. Where's he going to position himself? 2nd fastest with a 125.352. Fassi still on top by over a 10th, Jack Cannan.
I think that will probably give Marcel a little bit of encouragement, considering he ran incredibly wide and was still only a 10th off of Ruben Pedreño there. He popped in front at the end of that session there. But I see a man out on track at the moment, George, who is, well, if you want to talk about a man who really, really wants to finally wrap up a PSGL title, Barry Boremand is back. And, well, just following the pure statistics, George, I'm already tipping him for the win.
Well, you got to. I mean, if you look at his past record, a winner at the start of each PSGL season, generally speaking. I mean, the first season he took the first 3 wins of the championship. Couldn't bring it home, though. Jarno Opmeer would take it away from him towards the tail end of the season. But Barry Boremand looking now to slot himself up on top. McLaren coming off the back of a devastatingly superb season, and he's coming into the pits, not content with that lap whatsoever, though his teammate Wilson Hughes also coming in, also not looking to set a lap time on this occasion. The Alpine of Philip Prejnader, though, will cross the line himself. Will he join Luke Smith up to the top? Not quite yet. He's going to head out and still continue on another run. Might have invalidated that last run, but nevertheless, he's still out and about. Josh Edo, another man who impressed lately. He's out on the lap, Jack, and he was superb in F1 Esports last season.
Yeah, he really was, and he sort of came back to form towards the end of the season now. And maybe with the car he's in right now might raise a little bit of eyebrows amongst you that he's in a Red Bull. And all we'll say, well, we're obviously completely speculating here, but the car that someone drives in PSGL is never a coincidence over the years. So keep an eye on that. Josh Edo, of course, driver truck club for AlphaTauri in F1 Esports, is now in the Red Bull for this race, of course. filling the seat of what was Freddie Rasmussen's car in the past season or so. So yeah, Josh Ito definitely one to watch on a resurgence back to form. Now I did see Barry Borman and Wilson Hughes come into the pit lane as well, because the rain has stopped. The track is getting quicker, so we are now in a transitionary period.
Here we are indeed. Josh Ito, in fact, going faster in the second sector. Fastest of all, did go purple, flash purple in that second sector. And if the track's drying up, does sort of spell the reason as to why the McLarens might have come in. But across the line now, the Red Bull of Josh Ito. First time on the board, into 9 minutes now. Crosses the line, second fastest, 124.618. Donoso obviously going quickest earlier on as well at 124.563. Relegates Ismail Fassi, who did take the top time very early on. He's now down into 7th, so the track is, I'm guessing, improving to a degree. I'm guessing we'll see more and more dry tyres coming on the cars. Will Lewis goes quickest now. And what a venture into PCF1 for this young man to top the timing sheets. I know the track might be drying up, but a statement of intent here from Will Lewis here, Jack.
Yeah, you can never write anyone off with PSGL, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of screenshots of that to go around. Will Lewis at the head of the field in this one. But yeah, absolutely never ever write anyone off in PSGL, especially in changeable conditions like this. So yeah, Will Lewis up to the top in that one. Philip Preshner is out on the track as well, but he has invalidated that time. Still no appearances yet from the two Hasses. Thomas Ronnar and Matthias Van Erven not out on the track yet. No appearance of Danny Beresne either. We do have one of the Aston Martins. John Evans is out on the track now, but he has invalidated his time in his Aston Martin as well. I haven't seen yet. I have not seen Tom Manley out on the track yet either. So this is going to be, I think, quite a quick dash to the flag, but I do see now that as soon as I mention him, Danny Beresne is out on the track and he is out on the softs.
Certainly is Jack Canan on the softs. Let's peek in as to what's going on at Haas, because there is Matthias Van Erven. Currently sat there, of course. The driver cam powered by GT Omega Racing here at PSGL. And that's giving you a little bit more of a closer look as to what goes on, certainly at the home, the big rigs here in PSGL. Matthias Van Erven, of course, part of the Haas team for F1 Esports. He is now back with them again for PSGL, partnering Thomas Ronnar this season once again. And no doubt he'll be making his trips out on track, probably just surveying what Danny Beresne does in this initial stint here. So we'll have to wait and see as to what sort of time Beresne comes out with, but I'd imagine that many drivers have the same mentality as Matthias Van Erven. Wait and see what time Beresne posts, and then perhaps head out on track with 6.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, Danny Beresne is the man who's sort of going to pave the way here. He's got to figure out the grip, and he's got the track to himself, essentially, really. The only other man who's out on the track at the moment is actually Jarno Watmere. He's the only other car on track. So then, well, here we go then. Danny Beresne on a lap of Australia, and there's still no, as far as I can see, we'll have to wait and see when he comes up into turn number 2 here. But these are still not going to be quite up there, George, because there's still no DRS active.
No, not at all. So at the end of the day, no matter what Danny does on the softs, it won't be necessarily enough without the DRS. Hence why a lot of the cars are still remaining in the pit lane. 2 McLarens. I'll tell you one thing's for sure, Jack. If they're all staying in the pits, eventually they're all going to come out. Jarno Watmere heading out on track as well. DRS has now been enabled, so Jarno Watmere might have timed it well, but what happens now if all the cars leave at once? Is Watmere going to be in the midst of traffic? You've got to ask yourself that.
Yeah, he could be. I tell you what, that was absolutely perfect timing. It activated just before the DRS point. Up towards turn number 1 there, so he will get the benefit of that. Danny Beresne now getting the benefit of it on his run down towards the Sector 3 split now into the braking zone. Hard braking zone here, big sausage curb waiting for you on the right hand side there. So still no appearances out on track just yet from anybody else, but the goal was this is exactly what the other guys need right now. Beresne is not going to get impeded by traffic. Ideal for him as well. Jarno may get impeded by traffic towards the end of his lap, but Danny Beresne will be the first man to set an almost representative time without the DRS. 19.4. A reminder, he did not have DRS in those first 2 straights. Jarno Watmere, though, at purple in that middle sector as well. He has the benefit of the DRS in both sectors.
Yeah, that's right on board here with the Flying Dutchman now as he makes his way in towards the next right-hander in the Silver Arrows. Back again here in PSGL, Jarno Watmere, as he now heads through this next straight. He's got another couple of corners to take, coming through now turn 13. And then turn 14 as well. Here comes the Dutchman, of course, two-time F1 Esports champion, two-time PSGL PC champion across the line. Is it going to be enough to usurp Danny Beresne? It is! The sole man in the 118s, 118.645, had the benefit of DRS when he needed it most. That's a purple lap for Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, that just shows you as well the massive benefit you can get just by having the DRS detection early on. So Jarno Opmeer up to the top of the standings, but will it be enough is the question to get through. Still, only Ismail Fassi has appeared out on the track at the moment. So a lot of these guys are obviously just lining up for one run around here at Australia. But Ismail Fassi wants a bit of extra time, wants a bit of free track. Will he be impeded by traffic by the time he comes round to begin his next lap? It will be very interesting, with nobody appearing out. 3.5 minutes to go, George. They're all going, or look like they're going for one run. I can see now there's a little bit of activity happening now. I see the McLarens on their way out now. Barry Borman and Wilson Hughes coming out. Marcel Kiefer coming out as well. So it's going to get very, very packed on track. And I think Ismail Fassi may end up in the middle of it.
Yeah, some big names as well in that bottom list. Joost Noordijk marking his debut here in PCF1 here officially this season as well. Tom Manley joining him too. John Evans there, Barry Burman, Wilson Hughes, Jake Benham, the all-star, also in the midst of all this. Philip Prejnader, Thomas Ronha, the young man who would certainly challenge for the F1 Esports Championship title, took Lucas Blakely and Freddie Rasmussen all the way to Abu Dhabi. Wasn't quite able to come out on top, but nevertheless, a wonderful rookie season for Thomas Ronha, and his teammate, of course, we just saw in our picture-in-picture was Matthias van Erven, as now Ismail Fassi makes his way down the straight now. He'll look to commence his flying lap. And obviously now, if there's anyone who could yet suffer from traffic, and I think he will, Jack, it's going to be Ismail Fassi. Just look at the queue of cars in front of him here.
He's got so much traffic, as he got about 4 cars coming up in front of him now. You can see them all there. You got the 2 Aston Martins, one of the Hasses, and the Ferrari in front as well. So he's going to have to try and get through this. And of course, they're trying to get round to make sure they have some free air, but this is not what Ismail Fassi needed. Purple in the first sector there for Ismail Fassi. And yeah, he's backed out. He'd actually invalidated through that corner as well, but now has to back out, and maybe that'll eventually help him because he now gets a chance to at least build up for a lap here. But it is very congested out on the track right now. A couple of drivers not coming out of the pits yet. Danny Beresne is staying in pit lane, as is Deno, so by the looks of it, we'll wait and see if they do decide to come out. Well, Deno's on his way out now, but you can see now every single car is out on the track except for Danny Beresne. 19 cars vying to get through into Q2. This is only Q1, guys.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're leaving it to the last minute, and Barry Burman looking to try and get himself back to the top. Once again here in PSGL, can he do what he did seasons gone by and take an opening W here at the start of a PSGL season? Let's wait and see. He now heads through towards Lakeside Drive, which will lead him through towards turn 9 and turn 10 at the DRS detection point, which will give him DRS between turns 10 and 11. Heads through the very fast corner there indeed. Flat out, almost attacking those curves as well, as he now makes his way down through towards turn 11. 90-degree corner, breaks in, just curtsies the car through. The McLaren looking ever potent as it now works its way through this next right now. Round turn 12, 13 up next as well. 14 will come up next. Can he topple Jarno Opmeer? The rivalry that these two have had in seasons gone by. But top step here in Q1, will it be Barry Burman? Comes up towards the line. It certainly will be. A 1:16.798. The track is heating up, Jack Kinnan.
And Wilson Hughes stalling right behind him, 16.9, so the track has ramped up very, very quickly. So this is going to be very close. Tom Manley in the middle as well. Great job from the young man in the AlphaTauri. So plenty of times yet to come. And this is going to be one of the most chaotic endings to a Q1 session we will have. Everybody is on a lap here, so it's going to be very difficult for us to keep up. Ruben Pedreño now up to third, splitting themselves in between the McLarens. Marcel Kiefer up to P5. Will Lewis displaces him now as they all file across the line. We've got one of the Hasses coming up now as well. Matthias van Erven up to fourth. Great effort from him there. John Evans up to third. They're all on a 16.9. Look at that. There's 5 of them on a 16.9 up at the front. John Evans there. Matthias van Erven P5. Will Lewis down to P7. Also on a 16.9. Ismail Fassi to second on the 16.8. Now the pressure is piling on those who haven't put laps in yet as they wait to cross the line. There's Ronar up to the top, 16.6. And that's the first time we've seen him out on the track as well, up to the top of Q1. Jake Benham, 16.8, goes third. Jana Watmere coming up shortly in a second as well. We've got another couple of cars yet to come to cross the start-finish line to finish their final laps at Q1. Here comes Upmere then. Does he do enough to get himself out of Q1 here in Australia? 7th for now, also a 16.9. Another one of the Red Bulls coming through in the background as well. That was Josh Ito, who only gets to 13th, and now that is not safe for Josh Ito. A couple more still to come, George, but this is very, very tight. Look at all those 16.9s in the middle.
Yeah, they're all queuing up, Jack. It's getting busy at that tail end of the track. In comes Danny Beresne up towards the line as well. 12th fastest, enough to get himself into Q2 at least for now, but more and more cars working their way through. Luke Smith, he crashes into the wall in frustration and able to get himself into the next session of qualifying. Will Lewis in an incredible debut display here as a reserve in PSGL, 11th quickest here in the very first session of qualifying. Brilliant lap for Will Lewis to get himself into the mix as well. I got to say as well, Jack, John Evans as well, 6th fastest, beats Jana Watmere. A great performance from John Evans.
By 1,000th of a second, he beats Jana Watmere, John Evans in Q1. But I think the one to look at here, though, is the bottom 5. We've got Duncan Hoffland out, Preschnader out. Shockingly enough, George, Denoso is out in Q1. Did not get a time in at all. 24.5 obviously did not get a proper time in. Luke Smith, he actually spun in the final corner on his improvement lap. He was unfortunately not made it, and just Nordheim also out. Chaotic Q1, and just like we say, it's only Q1. It's only Q1, and there's 2 more sessions to come. But Thomas Ronar, he only needed 1 lap, 16.6, 10th quicker than Burman, Jake Benham. But I like to see this, George. You've got Jake Benham, then Ishmael Fassi, and Tom Manley. So 2 of the young rising stars up there in the top 5.
Absolutely right. You just see there, very content Matthias van Erven. Not a bad start at all for him. Obviously getting a good result there. Thomas Ronhard, though, fastest. Barry Burman, second. We got Jake Benham, third. Ishmael Fassi, fourth. Tom Manley, fifth. If we just have a look at the eliminees, of course, we got Duncan Offland, Philip Preschnader, Fabrizio Donoso, Luke Smith, and Joost Noordijk. A bad session for Alpine, Jack Canan. Not a great start for them at all. 2 cars out already in the first session. Donoso as well. We'd expect perhaps a little bit more from Fabrizio. He's going to be feeling a little sore after that one.
Absolutely, yeah, and it was obviously just clearly an invalidation because we would expect them to get through in the middle there, but very, very surprised. There's always one shock exit from PSGL Q1, and that's one of them for Fabrizio Donoso, definitely. I was amazed at how close that session was, though. I think there was, 7 drivers who were on a 16.9, so incredible. You can expect Q2 and especially Q3 to be incredibly close, but again, sort of like we're expecting now, George. Ronar just has a little bit more. He got a 10th over Barry Burman, but again, it is only Q1.
Yeah, it is absolutely right. Cars now making their way back out again, folks. So we will be making our way across very, very shortly. I want to hear from you, though. I hope folks at home, don't forget, let us know your predictions for pole tonight. Really want to hear it. So let us know in the live chat, and we'll do our best to read out your comments indeed. Lots of you getting involved tonight. Big, big warm welcome back to PSGL, guys. It's great to be back. PCF1 back on your screens this season. I tell you what, it doesn't get any better than this to kickstart your 2023. Onwards and upwards, we head across back to Albert Park, and let's get ourselves back into the frame of mind for Q2. The cars not wasting any time, a different complexion here in Q2, Jack. No signs of wet weather. It's a dry track, the sun is shining, and the soft tyres are out as well.
Yeah, and the track's already busy. Plenty of cars coming out onto the circuit. Only 3 cars have not appeared out on the circuit for this first run of well, actually everyone is out except for John Evans, who's actually making his way down the pit lane. So everybody has come out really early in Q2 here at Albert Park, which is we're not too used to having every car on the track at once in Q2, but the first 2 cars are actually the 2 Alpha Tauris by the looks of it. Indeed it is, of Tom Manley and Ruben Pedreño. So they're together at the head of this long train back to the last car, which is John Evans, but Ruben Pedreño at the front of this train, and he'll kick us off for Q2.
You certainly will. Let's certainly follow Ruben Pedreño and see how he gets on. Obviously one of the up-and-coming stars in the world of league racing, as well as F1 esports as well. Would not be surprised to see this man touted for an esports seat in the future. Could well be at AlphaTauri. Who knows, folks? As he now makes his way down through towards the next right-hander here as well, being turn 3. Well, actually saying that, be turn 6 then very soon, as soon as he ventures through turns 4 and 5. You have a little long straight to take here at this point, which will lead him in towards sector 2. And he'll post the first sector time, 26.745 to get things started. Next, it'll be a pursuit around Lakeside Drive, which is a bit of a curve in the actual straight. Consider it a straight. They don't consider it a corner around Lakeside Drive, but then he'll venture through towards turn 9 and 10, the very sharp and very quick section, a semi-chicane of sorts, as he now works his way through it. Very much so is a chicane, probably one of the fastest chicanes in Formula 1 as he now works his way through. Obviously, I'm sure Monza would have something to say about that, as we're now watching Pedreño make his way through, or maybe Canada and Montreal as well, as we're now following Pedreño in towards the latter sector. Round in the next right, AlphaTauri look at a score mean here at the very top of Q2. Of course, we're into the 12th minute already. So now the cars work their way through the final corner now. AlphaTauri to the top. Certainly will be for Ruben Pedreño, the first valid lap time of the session. And what will it be? A 17.3 to kick things off with Tom Manley moving quickest of all. 17.244, Jack. And I have to tell you, Tom Manley, really impressive start. He looked good in Q1. Barry Burman, though, and Wilson Hughes to the top.
Yeah, as well, you can imagine, I think these runs will be on a set of used tyres to save as much as they possibly can. But Wilson Hughes up to the top, that's a very, very good sight to see. Of course, sat out basically the entire F1 Esports season despite being part of McLaren, but that is what happens when you have two drivers who are fighting for the driver's title. But now a chance for him to show why he was drafted in by the McLaren team as well. So a couple of invalidations, you can see them down there in the form of, well, Marcel Kiefer just begun it again, but Alvaro Carreton, he did initially invalidate. John Evans coming across the start-finish line on the end of his lap. And we go into 11th on 17.6. So the first runs are done. So they would be the used tyre runs for this first part. Come in, bolt on another set of tyres, and then we'll get into the very, very fun end of qualifying. But it's Wilson Hughes on the 17.0 who leads in front of his teammate Barry Borman. Then it's the two AlphaTauris, and Danny Beresne splitting them in P5. Currently, cut-off point is Matthias van Erven, but you can expect that 17.6 to drop very, very quickly as we bolt on sets of new tyres and such. So everyone coming into the pit lane now, and it may get a little quiet out on the track.
Might well do. And Wilson Hughes is going to be on top while all the drivers come into the pit lane. A great display indeed. Matthias van Erven, he's currently in that 10th spot. Obviously right on the cusp of elimination, right on the bubble. 5-place grid penalty for Ismail Fassi for intentional blocking. Now that could be a concern. He's currently sat in P9. So, I mean, if he qualifies in the top 10 and finishes, should we say, in the bottom 5 of Q3, effectively that means he's going to be in Q2 position anyway.
How is that possible? To get a 5-place penalty for blocking through there. I'm sure, unless it did actually happen, but I would imagine that he'll have the stewards look at that one, and if it's deemed, I suppose, that it's not actually appropriate, I'm sure that he'll be given his rightful place on the grid if he does manage to qualify high enough up. So that's obviously not ideal for him, but I'm sure it will be looked at in the stewards room for sure as we end this first part of Q2. No one out on the track. Normally we do have somebody who hasn't come out and will now come out to do some laps, and right on cue I can see Ferrari readying Will Lewis to take to the track by himself and a couple of others.
Yeah, Will Lewis, the first adventure out. Of course, Ferrari representative here in PSGL for this first race. Jake Benham also leaving the pit lane. And he'll be making his way out. Alvaro Carreton already leaving as well. So that's a Williams and a Ferrari and a Mercedes making its way out on track. Matthias van Erven just taking a drink there. Very pensive indeed, despite being right on the cusp of elimination. Looking rather relaxed though, Jack. I think he has every right to be, but he's just that type of character, isn't he, Matthias van Erven? Very, very intent on the job in hand. Doesn't get fazed by a lot outside of what he's focused on, which I think very much encapsulates very much what an F1 esports driver should be.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, he is out on the track right now, so he's taking on his outlap in the Haas. And well, it's great that we are introducing this driver cam as well, and I'm sure we'll get some more drivers that convince them to do it as well. But Matthias, ever the nice guy, jumps in at the deep end to let us trial this new feature. So thanks to Matthias for that. And he's now out on the circuit and see if he can get himself into Q3, which would be a great result for him. But I would imagine now we've got some brand spanking new tyres on all of these cars. It's very busy out on the circuit again. Everybody's out on the track, and there is plenty to keep your eyes on as we come to the end or mid part of Q2 here. And by the looks of things, to get us underway, well, Will Lewis is actually the first man on a timed lap here.
Yeah, Will Lewis making his way around. We're going to rejoin the Ferrari now as he gets set to nestle in a second time lap of this session. Of course, if you're looking to nestle in a big one, that's for sure. I mean, look what it would mean to Will Lewis to get Q3 in his first run here in PSGL. Of course, he's got to try and get himself into the top 10 first. Of course, P12 currently. Not too far off, though. Just over a tenth of a second away from Matthias van Erven, who sits in 10th as we speak. Obviously, the track will be getting warmer. Huge opportunity for Lewis. He wants to get himself to the top as he now makes his way down through towards the very, very fast chicane. Has gone purple in the second sector. In fact, Will Lewis on a flyer. The track definitely starting to warm up as he now makes his way down through towards the next right-hander. He's now into sector 3 proper, heading through turn 11. Very shortly turn 12. Yellow flags in sector 3. It looks like the Mercedes is getting itself teed up. I think that's Jana Watmere, in fact, who's going to be the last of the running cars to set a lap on this occasion. As now Will Lewis now heads through turn 14 down the straight now. Where is he going to put himself? Is it enough to get into the top 10? It certainly will be. In fact, it will. P1, the first 1:16 of the session. Welcome, Will Lewis.
That raised my eyebrows a little bit. Will Lewis 16.4. Great effort from him as it across the line behind is Caraton 16.7. That's an epic lap from Will Lewis. He can be definitely very happy with that. As we see now Jake Benham about to cross the start-finish line, goes behind 16.7. And you know what? Will Lewis has pulled off a really great lap there. Pedreño 16.5 slots in behind, and one of the Alphas coming across, Fassi on a 16.7. We got another one of the Hasses coming across now, Van Erven. He goes to fourth, also a 16.7. John Evans into second there on a 16.5. Then a couple more to come. Josh Ito on a 16.8. And then behind, it's Marcel Kiefer. Didn't quite get a lap together there. But we have it now. The McLarens coming through. There you can see Wilson Hughes into fourth. Here comes Barry Borman now. Where does he go? 16.5. Right in behind. In behind is Ronar then. Where does Ronar go in all this? He goes to the top. 16.471. But I tell you what, there is not much in it. Will Lewis is very much in this.
Yeah, Tom Manley going fourth fastest as well. Jana Watmere, the Flying Dutchman, two-time champ, 8th fastest. Enough to get into Q3, at least for now. And many other cars will be looking to do exactly the same as well. Obviously, still plenty of cars out on track. But I have to tell you, what a performance so far. Will Lewis, Jack Cannan. Will Lewis up into second fastest, 16.4. I tell you what, and he's not far off Ron Haar's time. Bear in mind, this is a man who took Lucas Blakely all the way into Abu Dhabi, of course, alongside Freddie Rasmussen as well, for the F1 Esports title. I tell you what, have we discovered a new future star here?
It could very much so. I mean, it is on EQ2, but again, very impressive performance, and only 0.02 of a second off of Thomas Ronar as well, who is arguably the quickest guy on the grid with statistics-wise in the qualifying sense. But it is incredibly close, as you can see. We got Ronar on a 16.4. The cutoff time is a 16.709 from Matthias van Erven. Jake Benham is 1,000th of a second off of making it through into Q3 on a 16.71. And then just 2,000ths in front of Van Erven is Ishmael Fassi on a 7.07. So incredibly close. Jana Watmere on a 16.6. And then you have 4 drivers on a 16. You have 5 drivers on a 16.5 in front. So the only 2 who are in a 16.4 is Ronar and Will Lewis. So this is going to be another crazy end to qualifying. I am predicting, again, it's going to get quiet, but I can expect more runs on the way.
Well, just look at this, Jack. The top 5, all within an entire tenth of a second. You've got Will Lewis, who is a quarter of a tenth behind Thomas Ronhaar. Then you've got Barry Burman, who's only 3,000ths behind him. And then you've got Tom Manley, just over half a tenth. as well as John Evans, who is within also a 1/10 of a second. Incredible. Just look at that, folks. Ruben Pedreño just outside of 10th as well. Just look at it. All the newcomers stepping up. Tom Manley and Ruben Pedreño. Remember when we did that driver reveal, Jack? We said the AlphaTauris could be the dark horses. Both of them in the top 6 at this point here in Q2. Will Lewis is retired as well.
Lewis, isn't it? That's confidence, isn't it? That's a proper statement of intent. If he makes it through, that will be excellent from him. But he's not going for another run. He's hedging his bets on everyone else behind him to see if he can make it through. But Ismail Fassi is now out on the circuit. Remember, he does have a 5-place grid penalty. We will wait to see if he will get that removed. Ronar is now retired as well, so he feels 16-4 should be enough. It's hard to disagree with them that a 16-4 will be enough. It is very, very close throughout the field, though. Ismail Fassi, Ruben Pedreño, and Tom Manley in there in the top 10 at the moment, the 3 young drivers. Tom Manley, of course, part of the Red Bull squad in their esports team as well. So definitely one to watch in this session as we now see everybody out on the circuit for a lap, except for, it looks like, well, it was Matthias van Erven, but now Matthias van Erven is now out of the circuit. So everybody's out on the circuit. Barry Borman, I think, still pondering whether to come out or not. And if he does want to do that, he needs to do that in the next couple of seconds. If not, then he will not get another run.
Well, no, that's absolutely right indeed. Big warm welcome to all the PSGL fans as well. Barry Burman's also retired from the session. He is currently sat on a 16.5. And not far away either. Matthias van Erven also out on track, looking to get back underway, of course, folks. We're now into squeaky bum time of Q2. The final 1 minute and 20. We're within that now. And the very first car to set the last lap will be Ismail Fassi. Makes his way down through towards turn 1 at this stage. Further back as well, the Red Bulls getting themselves sorted as well. Marcel Kiefer currently sits at the tail end of the field here, considering this Q2 contingent. 15th fastest with a 117. Not necessarily representative at this stage, because 116 is obviously where he'll need to be, as we're now seeing the cars work their way through. Ismail Fassi making his way through this sector. Of course, a young driver that was very exciting in the All-Star event. Certainly did pull up a few trees in his exploits in order to become a race winner on that occasion. Has been absolutely brilliant in F2 as well in PSGL, not to mention Will Lewis. Tell you what, a couple of upstarts here from F2 making their way into the top tier of PSGL and the top tier of League Racing too. As Ismail Fassi comes through Lakeside Drive, he'll open up the DRS after turns 9 and 10. Very soon he'll cross that line and does so before he then ventures into Sector 3 proper. Big chance here to enlist a fast time, 10 seconds left here at this stage of qualifying. Q3 places up for grabs. Can Ismail Fassi land the big blow here at the end of this session? 16.7 currently to his name. Can he get to the top as he now comes around the final corner across the line very, very shortly? Will he get a top end place? Fassi, 8th is all he can find at this stage. He goes 8th quickest. More cars coming through. Through comes Marcel Kiefer. He can't remove himself off 15th place. Disappointment for the Red Bull, Jack.
And Berezne is also out as well. Fassi will be disappointed. He made a big error on that lap, which cost him about 2/10. Manley, there he is, 16.3 up to the top of the order. Jake Benham now through the final corner. Does he get himself out of the drop zone in the Mercedes? He certainly can. P5 for him. And will that be safe, though, is the question. Here comes John Evans on a great return to form. Where does he go? 3rd, 16.4 for John Evans. Here comes Wilson Hughes then next across the line. He's in 8th. Can he improve on this lap? Just to P7 for now. And in the background, we have another couple of cars across the line. Ido's out in this one. Upmere on the cusp as he gets through. It's on the cusp, though. Matthias van Erven, can he cause an upset here to cross the start finish line? He goes to 8th and gets through to Q3. And Ruben Pedreño is the only other car left, so Upmere makes it through by the skin of his teeth there in P10. Tom Manley tops the session, though, in Q2. And this is very interesting. Some shock exits, though. Caraton, Ido, Berezne, and Kiefer out in Q2.
Some big upsets, Jack Kernan. Certainly, Alvaro Caraton out, Ido out, Berezne out, Kiefer out. To a degree, Ismail Fassi, you probably would have expected a little more from that young man too. But Tom Manley, welcome to PCF1, fastest in Q2. Thomas Ronhar, 2nd quickest. John Evans with a great performance. Will Lewis also an absolutely blistering start as well to his PSGL PC Tier 1 venture. P4, Barry Burman 5th, Jake Benham 6th, Wilson Hughes in 7th, Matthias van Erven in 8th, Ruben Pedreño 9th, Gianna Watmere in 10th. Ismail Fassi, he's eliminated, so is Caraton, Ido, Beresne, and Kiefer. Major shocks there, but we will not be seeing them in our next stage of qualifying. Q3 is next on the list, folks. Incredible. What an incredible start by some of the young stars here of the future. AlphaTauri have been absolutely brilliant, Jack. We have got Pedreño, who is right up in the mix, but what about Tom Manley? A clutch lap at the end of Q2. Very rarely do we see the young pretenders already hit the top in PSGL. Just goes to show that the sheer quality of league racing is just getting so fine now, isn't it?
It really, really is. But I think a key point to point out there is Ronar, Will Lewis and Barry Burman all have an extra set of tyres because they only did 2 runs rather than 3. So a little bit of an advantage coming to those 3.
Yeah, absolutely amazing indeed. Certainly the timer is already ticking down in Q3 as well, folks. So now I'm asking you folks, you guys at home, you need to tell me who is going to get pole at the end of Q3. We want to hear from you folks. Please drop your names in the live chat. Big warm welcome to every single one of you here tonight at PSGL. Richie's come out and said Will Lewis. I tell you what, I would hate to disagree with you. I don't really want to disagree with you. I tell you what, my goat Will Lewis. Will Lewis has got some fans here. Pedreño, says Francis. Big thank you, Creaky and Jordans. I fancy meeting you here. Thank you very much indeed. Thomas Ronha, we've also seen 2 for Thomas Ronha. Wilson Hughes, another Ronha. Will Lewis, Ronha. Will Lewis as well again. Barry Benham. That is Benham, by the way, folks. Manley as well. Ronha. God, I tell you what, the list is creaking upwards. Jano Opmia, says Harry. CRG Sparks, obviously Wilson Hughes, obviously on top of that list. But we're going to head across to the game screen now, Jack. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Who's your prediction?
Oh, I think I'm not going to be boring. I'm going to go with an outside one. I am tipping Will Lewis for pole. Let's do it.
Will Lewis for pole. You're going bold.
Will Lewis for pole. Yeah, we're going bold today. We're not gonna go the traditional route. Let's manifest an upset. Let's manifest an upset here.
If you're backing a newcomer, so will I. I'm going to go Tom Manley on this occasion. I was impressed with Q2. Can he do it 2 in a row? That's the big question. But we'll have to wait and see. I'd like to see him do it. I'd like to see one of the young stars do it. Could you believe it? We might build a new star here at PSGL at the start of this season.
Yeah, potentially. Or well, I think one thing, if we're going to go with those 2 predictions, then we might, just to save something here, we'll go for a Will Lewis, Tom Manley front row. That would be an interesting front row.
That will be an interesting front row. I'd love to see it.
But yeah, we'll wait and see. We still have Q3 to figure this out, and obviously there's still some drivers in there who we obviously know are very capable of taking pole position. And one of those is, for sure, Barry Burman, who's out on his first time lap as well, and likes to win the opening round of the season, so can never, ever count him out. But the thing is, whenever he wins the first race of the season, he misses out on the title by a smallest of margin. So ideally, he needs to not win this to get the stats right.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. I mean, I can't back against him, Jack, though. You can't. You simply can't. But Barry Burman is going to be the first man to set a lap time here on this session. Will Lewis is going to join him as well. No other cars venturing out. They're all remaining in the pit. So it's just the story of a McLaren and a Ferrari at this point. 43.8 currently on the board for Barry Burman as he makes his way in towards the latter sector here on this occasion. And he'll then venture through turn 11 and 12 very shortly as well. Wilson Hughes, of course, Barry Burman's teammate, not featuring in F1 Esports last season. He cites PSGL as a major chance to get himself on to the record for McLaren. As now we're seeing Barry Burman make his way up towards the line. What's it going to be for the driver that has won on maiden occasion in the opening event of a PSGL season? Goes fastest of all so far with a 16.2. Will Lewis topple him? Let's wait and see. No, looks like it might have been an invalidation there, Jack Canan.
He's only beginning his lap now, so that was his house lap, yeah. But that is a bit of a statement there for Barry Burman. 16.2 on his first effort. That's 2/10 quicker, that are a 10th quicker than Tom Manley managed in Q2. So keep an eye out for Burman, and he also has an extra set of tyres. A 16.2 banker. That is classic Barry Burman coming through there.
Well, let's ride on board with Will Lewis as he now makes his way through this next right, very shortly through Lakeside Drive as well. Donning the colours of the Scuderia Ferrari here on this occasion, heading up through towards turns 9 and 10, where he'll commence his run through Sector 3, of course. Big opportunity here to cause a major upset for Will Lewis, starting here now with 8 minutes still to go here in Q3. Makes his way down through towards turn 11 with the DRS open wide right now through this next right. He'll clip the curb on entry, rumble over the curbs as well, an aggressive line from this young upstart Will Lewis, of course. Veloce Academy driver makes his way through towards turn 13. Turn 14 will be next. Into the pits he goes, not content with setting a lap. Effectively, Jack, that gives him maybe one last chance to dance here.
Well, he could have a couple of two chances maybe. That could have been a run on used tyres. But we have now the two Hasses out on the circuit, as well as Ruben Pedreño. So Ron R with Matthias Van Erven. Van Erven, the first of those cars in that line. So, of course, Thomas Ron R, you can never, ever bet against him in the foot when we're talking about qualifying in this PSGL season. Took the most pole positions of anybody last season in this one. But funnily enough, George, I think this is an interesting statistic. Despite all the pole positions, Ron R did not win last season.
No, he didn't, which is actually quite bizarre, to say the least. But he was consistent. I think that's fair to say. Did score points, but yeah, did not win a race, which is baffling, really. But we'll have to wait and see. He could change that when we head into the start of this new season. He is in Q3, so it's about as much chance to score a podium or a pole position at least here at the end of qualifying. But Matthias Van Erven now on his outlap will commence his flying lap as well. Many of the cars now making their way around. Will Lewis also back out again, as is Barry Burremand. So it looks like the Barry and Will Lewis might have a chance here to, get at least 3 outlap runs under their belt. With another one surely after this one. Ruben Pedreño also setting his first opening lap now as well here in this session. Matthias Van Erven makes his way through the first sector, heading through turn 4 now before then heading towards turn 5. The Haas looking very present, certainly here in Q3, with both Ron Hart and Matthias in this session. It's a story here of 2 Mercedes, 2 Haas's, 2 McLarens, 2 Alpha Tauris. So I'll tell you what, we've skimmed out a lot of teams here through Q1 and Q2. As now we're watching the Haas now make its way through Lakeside Drive as well, before then setting through turn 9 and 10. Of course, Matthias Van Erven, who was absolutely superb for Haas this season in F1 Esports, bringing up some points as well. The perfect supporting character for Thomas Ronhar's venture into the title this season. As he now heads through this next right. Unfortunately not claiming the title, but nevertheless enforcing his stance as a great up-and-comer. Matthias Van Erven himself as well, no slouch behind the wheel of a sim rig. Round the final corner now for Matthias Van Erven. He's going to set his first lap of this session. Will it be enough to topple Barry Burremand up towards the line? And he goes second fastest. Only 2/10 away, Jack, not far away.
Not too bad, 16.4. Ron R is behind him, though. Massive moment for Ron R through the final quarter. That'll be a 10th or 2 loss there. Ron R across the line, 16.244, and he lost that in the final corner right there with that slide. So 16.2 for Ron R on his first run as well. This is going to be very, very tight for pole position. Tom Manley, see how he does here coming through the final corner. Wilson Hughes 16.4. Tom Manley, though, here's the tip of George for pole. Comes across the line now, and it goes to a 16.3, not far off at all, only a 10th of a second. Opmeer on the 17.0, that will be his first banker run, I am sure. John Evans, he is on a invalidated lap, I think there, as he's not set a time. Jake Benham on a lap as well. Will Lewis on his second attempt of a run now as well in the third sector. So keep an eye out for Will Lewis here, see what he can do in this final sector. But it's Burm and Ronar currently the front row by just 0.02 of a second. Ronar with a big error on his lap as well. I'm sure there will be more time in it. Here comes Will Lewis then. Where does he come on this second run of Q3? Possibly one more to come. Here comes Will Lewis across the start-finish line, and he goes to 5th. Still a great lap, 16.4. Slot him into the top 5 in front of Wilson Hughes by 200th of a second. Great effort though, but Boremand on his first run, 16.2. Does he have more?
Well, it does make you wonder. If you made that mistake, Thomas Ronhaar, you'd factor that there's definitely some room for time there for Thomas Ronhaar. We'll have to wait and see, though. Tom Manley, again, another impressive visit. Only a 10th of a second away, in fact, inside a 10th of a second behind Barry Burremand by a single 1,000th of a second. Manley has got the pace and the ability as well to boot. Will Lewis as well, right in the mix too. I'll tell you what, the Ferrari also impressing. Top 5 here at this stage. Matthias Van Erven as well up into 4th. So the 2 Haas drivers looking very, very good right now. Jake Benham and John Evans and Ruben Pedreño licking their wounds after not setting the initial laps at all. That does put a little bit of pressure on, Jack. You would prefer to set at least a banker before then setting out on another fast lap.
Yeah, Jake Benham backed out of his time towards the end there. Didn't invalidate it, but backed out of it. So he's going for one run. John Evans as well, he invalidated on his timed run as well, so it did not get a time in. And Jarno, that is most certainly a banker for him. So still more time to come. But Ruben Pedreño, he will not have liked to invalidate that run as well. But Barry Bormand with Thomas Ronar on the front row, with Manley and Van Erven. Interesting second row if it were to be like that as well, with Will Lewis and Wilson Hughes in behind. But it is the classic calm before the storm in Q3, before it really kicks off for the first pole position shootout of the PSGL PC F1 season.
Absolutely. Well, cars already moving their way out of the garages, and very shortly down the pit lane they'll venture before then taking to the circuit. Wilson Hughes, the first car out on track, the Scot, who's marking once again another appearance here at PSGL, a former champion as well at PSGL, a PlayStation champion. Of course, when he represented Comrade Gaming at the same time, he took the title while battling with another driver on this grid, of course, Duncan Hoffland, who was, of course, part of that title fight as well. It went all the way to the final race, but Wilson Hughes came out with the victory and also the title to boot as well. Did it in great style, Jack. I've got to say, he's a very consistent driver, a very worthy young talent. Almost complements the brilliant McLaren, the McLaren roster that they've got this season, because of course we've got some great names there, the likes of Lucas Blakely as well, with Barry Burman, who currently tops Q3, and then Wilson Hughes, who currently sits 6th in our classification. That is a firm roster there to compete for an esports event.
Absolutely, he was one of the most consistent drivers in the last PSGL season as well, so definitely one you want to have on your side. Everyone out on the circuit then for Q3, and we are waiting now for this to be an incredible end to qualifying. 200 separate pole position and second. Wilson Hughes now begins the pole position shootout here at Australia. Let's see if he can deliver for McLaren, even get themselves on the front row and lock out that front row like they did in Bahrain just a couple of months ago when they did it back then. So everyone beginning their timed laps now, and Wilson Hughes, how is this first sector looking? We're looking to see how he is getting on. It comes up after this fast right-hander in the first sector, down towards this very quick right-hander at the end of Sector 1, 26.4. He's 600ths up on his best time. So if he continues that improvement, he could be right on for it here.
He certainly could be. Let's run on board with the Scot now as he makes his way through Lakeside Drive. Turn 9 and 10 up next. DRS detection zone coming up at the end of this particular part of the circuit now as he moves his way through. You can still see it there. Gets through that particular portion now. He can open up the rear wing, heading down towards turn 11 now. Where, of course, you want to try and build up your pace before then venturing in towards this 90-degree. Take a wide line, attack the curves. Ran a little wider, didn't quite hit it the way you would have liked necessarily, though hurtling through this next right now at turn 12. He'll then have turn 13 very tight here before then heading through the very, I suppose, you almost want to pedal the throttle through turn 14, but he'll post his first lap, well, his last lap, shall I say, here on Q3. Can he get himself to the top? 4th fastest here at this point as well. We got Pedreño, who's also out on track as well. He's going to head up towards the line. What's he going to post here on this occasion? Will he manage to get himself up to the top? John Evans is also making his way through. Unfortunately, not enough for Pedreño to break P7, but John Evans up towards the line. He's not going to set a lap time. We've got Jarno Watmere, Jake Benham as well, goes 4th fastest himself. What about the Hasses? We've also got Matthias van Erven coming up towards the line. Ron Hart can only manage 2nd fastest. No improvement, certainly, from him. Matthias van Erven remains in 6th fastest. Pedreño is still staying in 8th. Manley remains in 3rd. What about Barry Burman? Fastest again, a 16.1 to take top spot. Barry Burman, he's on pole for the very first race in PSGL in great style.
Ronar invalidated. That was it. Ronar just invalidated the time at the end, but Barry Borman, it's just a theme, isn't it? Barry Borman on pole for the first round of the season. Ronar on the front row. Tom Manley, what an effort. P3 in the second row of the grid. Jake Benham in 4th. Wilson Hughes top 5, and Matthias van Erven, a fantastic 6th place for him. Will Lewis, a very commendable effort in P7. Ruben Pedreño in P8. Jarno Watmere invalidated that last run in P9, and John Evans rounds out that top 10. Now we'll have a bit of time between Q3 or this qualifying session and the race, because we need to deal with that penalty with Ismail Fassi. He is getting it removed, so we will have a lobby restart to make sure that he gets on the grid in the correct position.
Yeah, we're going to have a commercial break, folks. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, folks. That is qualifying over, and what a moment indeed, to say the least. Obviously, it almost writes itself, doesn't it, Jack Canaan? Barry Burman on pole. I tell you what, we might as well have not turned up. I tell you what, the man who has taken a race win at the start of a PSGL season, most seasons in fact. Of course, it was the first season we ran PC, where he did take the first win of the season. In fact, he took the first 3, and then not to mention another win at the start of our previous PC season. So, again, start as you mean to go on, Jack Canaan. He is back at it again, to the top. Starts on pole for the start of this race at Melbourne.
Yeah, I need to just learn to follow the stats. I need to keep following my stats and my pole predictions. But yeah, Barry Burman once again at the head of the field in a McLaren. And I mean, it's hard to bet against him for the win now, because Australia is not the easiest place to overtake on. But again, it's PSGL, and drivers find interesting ways of overtaking in league racing. But you get Barry Burman and Ron Arr in the front row. I mean, it's teed up beautifully, but it is great to see the young guys performing. I mean, Tom Manley, 3rd on the grid in this first race. Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to say, folks, that's not the start of the race, by the way. You did just hear the starting light beeps, but we have got a new lobby coming, so do bear with us for this moment. Obviously, we will be coming to you very soon, and we'll give you some knowledge as to when we're going to be back in action. But a big warm welcome to everybody. Want to hear your predictions, of course, for the race win. Jack, in terms of the young drivers that have come through, who's impressed you the most? Because we've had quite a few major upsets here. I think so. I think out of everyone, I think it's Tom Manley. He's just been consistently there up in qualifying so far. So I will see if he converts that in the race. To be fair, they're kind of all impressed in a way. You've got Will Lewis up in the top 10 as well. I think as well, Matthias van Erven, good to see him up in Q3, up towards the front end where he should be as well. But you know, these young guys outperforming some of the established names. League racing is on the radar of the F1 esports teams. They will notice, they will take notes, and they are watching.
Yeah, absolutely right. The teams are all watching on, folks. And I tell you what, these drivers are really putting on a clinic for us here already for the start of the season. Generally, you wouldn't expect them to come straight out the blocks like this, but they're on it tonight, Jack. They are on it, and you got to give them credit for that, because obviously this grid is nothing to be trifled with. Certainly when you've got former champions like Jarno Opmeer in the mix, not to mention greats like Barry Burman as well, Fabrizio Donoso, experienced. Duncan Hoffland as well, you know, great to see him on this grid as well. The battle between him and Wilson Hughes that I alluded to before. Danny Beresne, a general in terms of what he does in the world of F1 esports, has been on the scene for so many years, of course, partnering Brendan Lee back when he won the title with Mercedes back in 2018, and is now back here once again. Of course, had a good season at Alfa Romeo, in fact. It was almost like a return of Beresne at F1 esports last season. We saw some snippets of vintage Beresne, and he could come back again and yet haunt the rest of this grid. I tell you what, it's not all said and done yet, folks. Anything can happen in racing. Expect the unexpected, as I always say, Jack. I mean, what can we expect tonight? I mean, I would hate to put your life on it, because it's almost impossible to predict at this point.
Well, you just gave me my prediction. The unexpected.
Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah, that's job done. Broadcast over, folks. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. But no, we want to hear from you, folks. Keep them coming. We can already see some names coming through. Barry for the win. Jarno GOAT win as well. Obviously, Jarno Opmeer looking to bounce back and claim another title, obviously off the back of Lucas Blakely taking it last season. Will it be Jarno's turn this time? We'll have to wait and see. Could be someone else for all we know. Strategy will be crucial. Lucas, you're absolutely spot on. We'll have to wait and see. Racecraft will reign supreme. Riley, you're absolutely spot on as well. Ismail Fassi, says Evan Dalton. Opmeer 100%, says GL3. What else have we got? Ismail Podium, says Timon as well. 2 safety cars, I think, is possible, says Joshua Birch. Well, who knows? I mean, do you remember the last time we had a safety car when we came to Australia, Jack? I believe it was one Jarno Opmeer who pulled back. And in fact, that clip went live today on YouTube. You can check that out, in fact, live here on this channel. And of course, it was one of the greatest drives to come from all the way where he was on the grid, obviously after pitting for softs, managed to score a podium right at the death.
Yeah, after disconnecting in Q1 and they're coming from the back of the grid to third. And that's ultimately what got him the title in Season 1 as well. Because remember, Barry Borman won that race. So it's and Borman also took pole in Australia as well. So there is lots of history here. Will we see it repeat itself? I'm not too sure. Jan was obviously much further up the grid than he was then. But, you know, you can never, ever rule anything out. Drivers are all back. Now it has the unenviable task, goes to Matthias van Erven, of making sure everyone's is in the correct grid spot before we go live here. And Matthias, don't put yourself on pole.
No. I'm sure he wouldn't do that to us, Jack. Surely not. No, Matthias van Erven in charge of the lobby tonight, so big plaudits to him. But just to say, folks, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you smash a like to this broadcast. Not to mention, leave a subscribe to the channel as well. We at PSGL are going to be bringing you the action all season long, so do not miss it. You're not going to regret it, that's for sure. But great to see this. Yeah, there could be safety cars here. There could be. I'm looking at some of the comments in the live chat. There certainly could be a safety car, so do not keep your eyes peeled. That's all I will say. But yeah, we'll wait and see as to what's going to happen. I mean, potentials for a safety car could happen. I mean, who simply knows? Obviously, a lot of young drivers, as we alluded to, the likes of Will Lewis and obviously the likes of Ishmael Fassi as well being on this grid. F2 products, Jack. Products of the system that have moved up through the echelons of PSGL. Will Lewis, who has been, should we say, on the grid, he's raced league racing for so long, but has been knocking at that wood, chopping that wood down, getting faster and faster season on season as we move into every F1 game. And I don't know what it is. He seems connected at this point. I saw a tweet from him earlier tonight saying that he felt that he had the pace was there. You know, that was a statement of confidence, and he's proved it here tonight.
Yeah, it shows you know that these guys are out here to take this seriously, you know, because it is on quite a large stage. So we'll wait and see what happens. Drivers are all readied up. We're counting down into the lobby. As far as we remember, no formation lap still has not yet been fixed. So we will be jumping straight into the race scenario in a few moments' time. But could be anyone's really. But statistics-wise, I said it in Q1, Barry Borman to win.
Yeah, well, there you go. Jack Canan going with the statistic. I'm going to go for an upset. I'm going to stick with Tom Manley. I still think he can do it. Can you imagine the fireworks, folks? Should we see that? But let us know who you think is going to win, folks. Keep that live chat pumping for us. Great to see you guys here. Obviously, it's great to be back on PSGL full stop, to be honest, folks. I've missed it. I've missed you at home as well. So make sure you leave that subscribe as well. And don't forget to leave a like too. We're going to be getting into the lobby very, very soon, folks, as you can see from our game screen very shortly. Just loading it through. And there you can see the pit lane as it stands. Very soon we will be putting pedal to the metal for the first time in Season 32 here on the PC platform. The George Morgan predictions are legendary, Demegala. If any of you saw the final event of F1 Esports, you would have seen that I correctly predicted pole for the last 3 races of F1 Esports. Maybe I could predict the race winner, Jack Canan.
Yeah, well, we started off on a completely wrong foot because neither of us got the pole prediction right today.
That's very true. Obviously, I can't do it at PSGL, Jack.
No, well, we'll see. We'll see. And again, Connor has pointed this out, and it's probably a shocking fact to some. Thomas Ronhar has never won in this tier in PSGL PCF1, so he's out to get his first win, as are many others in this one. But Barry Borman looking to start off the season, as he has done in every season so far, with a win. 10 seconds to go until we get underway here. No formation lap, straight into the action. PSGL PCF1 is back. Yeah,
get ready, folks. It is time for racing. League racing has returned here at PSGL in the PCF1 Championship. Second light, third light, fourth light, and the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Barry Burman and Thomas Ronhar lead together. Jake Benham with a great start moves up to P3. Ahead of Tom Manley. Ronhar leads. Ronhar leads here at Melbourne. He managed to overtake Barry Burman through turns 1 and 2. Jake Benham in behind as well, with Tom Manley just settling in behind those, with Kiefer and Caraton going out of here. A late move from Barry Burman, tries to tackle. There, Thomas Ronhar. A car going wide there. I think that was Danny Perez there just moving a little wide. Heading through turn 3, but Ronhar leads. The start here in Australia. We're back underway here at PSGL.
Yeah, great start from Ronar. He got the traction immediately, managed to get in front of Borman before he even got to turn one. Barry tried the move. Now he's trying to come back at him early on. Here we go, outside for Borman as they head down to the fast left-hander. I don't think he's going to go for this move. We'll settle in behind as it gets very interesting behind. Donoso's opted for softs. He's gone completely different to everybody on the track. Everyone's on hards except for Donoso. So they're now settling in behind as we see now a couple of people just sorting themselves out. Will Lewis dropping down, unfortunately, to the back of the field after a incident there. But Ronar leads, Borman second, Benham in third, getting in front of Manley on that first part. Ishmael Fassi, great start, up to 6th place. He goes to, not a great one from Matthias Van Erven, down to P8. Danny Beresne rounds out the top 10. But Ronar leads after the first lap after a massive challenge put up by Barry Borman. Now he's going to try and get away, and Benham settling in behind now. So expect some chilling out now as Luke Smith and Rupert Jenner come in to fix some front wing damage.
Yeah, absolutely right. Will Lewis unfortunately suffering here at the start on the opening lap. He's now down to 20th place. All that hard work from qualifying has been sapped away. Ruben Pedreño also dropping down, and Luke Smith now down into 20th spot himself. Thomas Ronhaar though with the lead here on lap 2 of 29. 50% racing action here at PSGL, folks, as always, as the cars now make their way through this next section. Of course, Barry Burman now still locked in behind, half a second away from Thomas Ronhaar, with Jake Benham just in 3rd place. Tom Manley in behind those as well. Jarno Watmere starting to make places. He loves Australia. He's done it before, certainly here, as we run on board with the Flying Dutchman as he makes his way down through towards the very fast 9 and 10, just tracking Ishmael Fassi. Well, I have to say, Jack, is that a brilliant start? Fassi holding on to 6th place.
Yeah, great start for him. He's actually the man who's made the most places. He's up 5 places from where he started. Joost Noordijk as well, he's up 5 from the back of the grid as well. But excellent getaway from Ishmael Fassi to get himself in front of Jarno Opmeer in this early phase of the Grand Prix. So P6 for him now. In behind is he's in behind Wilson Hughes, so to say. Crossing the line now, Thomas Ronnar begins the next lap, and Borman sticking with him. Of course, DRS will be enabled very, very shortly for these guys at the next DRS section. Not quite this DRS section, but one after it. So Borman is still firmly in the DRS of the cars in front. Donoso, unfortunately, not able to make use of the softs, dropping 4 seconds back. So everybody's in a big train, down to 16th place. Massive DRS train, so there'll be cars really in that train that will not have DRS. Is Ronar at the front of it, and what a shame, Will Lewis out of the Grand Prix after a very promising qualifying.
Yeah, apparently Will Lewis having some lagging issues on his game, so that is, of course, what led to the certainly his problems here at this point. He's now out of the race. Big shame for Will Lewis, who certainly was ever prosaic in qualifying. It's not to be for the youngster, unfortunately out of this race. Thomas Ronnar, though, still leads at this point, with Barry Burman locked in behind. 0.4 of a second, the gap between the pair. The gap comes down as they now head through towards turn 11. Of course, DRS with Burman will certainly help in terms of potentially winning the opening race here at PSGL. Jake Benham in 3rd, Tom Manley in his very first event here in PCF1 at PSGL, 4th place, still looking very, very good indeed, even despite Jake Benham attacking him heading in towards the first corner, as though they make their way down on lap 3 of 29. Ronhaar leads, Burman 2nd, Benham 3rd, Manley 4th, Hughes in 5th. The 2 McLarens still starting as they mean to go on. Remember, F1 Esports, it was Barry and, of course, Lucas Blakely who would be the only team to have both their drivers fighting for the title when they came into the final event. McLaren continuing with 2 McLaren drivers, this time in the top 5. Ishmael Fassi in 6th, Jarno Watmere holding on to 7th, with Matthias Van Erven in 8th. Great start as well for John Evans. Danny Beresne also up into 10th.
Yeah, good start for him as well. Josh Ito as well in P11 with his teammate Marcel Kiefer just behind him as well. Carrottson in 13th, Duncan Hoffland in behind him, and Joost Noordijk as well. He came from the back of the field. He is in 15th place, just in front of Philip Preschnader. No moves being made, of course. Everyone's settled into the DRS train in this early phase of the Grand Prix. The laps will tick away very quickly. Very short lap around here in Australia, but it's all about strategy, of course. Always the key factor in this series, in league racing and in F1 Esports as well. Strategies play the key factor in these races. Ronnar still taking that lead in front of Borman, in front of Benham, who's holding his ground very nicely. But Ronnar is not, of course, dropping Borman. Borman saving behind. Ronnar not using any ERS as well, not trying to get away, but of course giving Barry the opportunity to save the battery up behind them as well. So the race will remain static for a little while, but you just wait until the pit stops kick off.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron Haar still making his way down through towards the next right at turn 3. Of course, lap 5 now of 29. Won't be long before the strategies will surely unravel themselves. All the drivers opting to start on the hard tyres, bar, of course, Fabrizio Donoso, who started on the softs. Ruben Pedreño started to tail off at the end of the field as well. 19th, of course, 23 seconds in behind that of Luke Smith, with Luke Smith back 18 seconds himself. As we now watch the cars make their way through, Danny Beresne getting very close to the back of John Evans as well, as we ride on board with the Hungarian as they head through Lakeside Drive. Still remains 3 tenths in behind that of John Evans in his Aston Martin. Very shortly whipped through turn 9 and of course turn 10 as well. Ruben Pedreño immediately takes the fastest lap, this time donning a set of the medium tyres. Immediately makes it a 2-stop race for him as such. Can't finish on the softs if he wants to. Interesting strategy though already outside of the hard tyres that we would have expected to see. As you know, seeing the cars make their way through the next right-hander, whipping down in towards the next left at turn 13. Still very much so, it's Ron Haar in front as then they make their way down the stretch to commence lap 6 of 29. Ron Haar leads, Burman second, Jake Benham still sits in third, further back Manley, who is still holding on to fourth, staying in DRS detection point between him and Benham, with Hughes in fifth. Vassi still in 6th as well, with Jarno Opmeer in 7th, Matthias van Erven in 8th as well. They're all in tandem, the DRS train in full flow. I get the feeling, Jack, it's going to take a strategy change for this to change.
Yeah, as it does with most of these, but you can see none of the top 3 using, well, basically, and nobody is using any ERS to attack at all. 100% battery for Barry, and almost 100% battery for Ron Haar as well. Just a little boost to keep himself in there. Benham as well, just a tiny break away from Manley, not massive, but again, 6/10 of a second in F1 Esports is quite a lot. But as he will close in towards the end, you can see Barry getting super close to the back of Ron Haar. Surely going to think about a move here, possibly. Coming down towards the next corner, yes he is. Here comes Borman then to take over the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Ron Haar does not fight it, and back to the front goes Barry Borman here in Australia.
Yeah, brilliant move indeed for Barry Burman. Immediately takes the lead of the race here in PSGL for the PCF1 season. Of course, he'll be very familiar with that at the start of a championship. We've seen it before as he now makes his way through the final corner on lap 6 of 29. He'll begin lap 7 now, with Ron Haar this time following him in towards turn 1. Further back, Benham in 3rd, Manley in 4th, Wilson Hughes holding on to 5th, Fassi still there in 6th as well, with Jarno Opmeer pushing him around the track. Duncan Hoffland also trying to duel a little bit with Caraton, getting closer to within 4/10 of a second as the cars they make their way through turn 3 and turn 4 very shortly. Very close at this point. Burman, who fortunately played second fiddle for McLaren in that final event. They were neck and neck for that title, just could not quite get it over the line, but Burman knows that he's got the potency and the ability, certainly here in PSGL, taking the opening 3 wins in our very first season of PCF1. He's now head through Lakeside Drive again, this time Benham just within, trying to get within 3/10 of Thomas Ron Haar, the All-Star, who pretty much subbed in for Danny Moreno through the entirety of the final event of F1 Esports, as Pedreño yet again sets the fastest lap on medium tyres. The cars make their way down through towards the, well, through the latter sector now, back through turn 12, 13 coming up very shortly as well. And they'll then head through the final corner at turn 14 too, as they now head on through this particular section to begin lap 8 very soon. Barry Burman, once again looking very strong indeed. Ron Haar starting to move away slightly. Is Burman starting to use that ERS right now, Jack?
Not by much. Ron Haar's using a little bit to stay with him, of course, but basically equal. 90% for Burman, 97 for Ron Haar. Ron Haar, of course, having the benefit of staying behind. Benham as well, just staying with these guys up front as well, but no real attack being put on by anybody at the moment. Everybody's still in the train. Donoso in to switch to hards. Now, that would mean that he would probably be able to try and get to the end of those tyres. Let's watch out for Donoso towards the end, with a long way off the back. Of course, needs to try something towards this end. Of course, a safety car would definitely help his cause to bring him back into the frame. Those 3 guys down the back definitely need a safety car to help to get themselves back up to the front. But Borman now half a second clear of Ron Haar, but again, equal battery in both of them. So biding their time, as is Jake Benham, as is Tom Manley, doing a great job up in P4 in his first race in the series as well. Ishmael Fassi as well doing an excellent job in P6 in front of Otmir and in front of Matthias van Erven. John Evans doing a solid job as well up in that top 10 in the Aston Martin.
Well, incidentally, Pedreño has already stopped twice, so that's why he's so far back. Medium tyres on him, as we know, but Donoso opting for a set of the hard tyres, which I'd imagine will get him to the end of the race regardless, you would have thought. Obviously, a lot of these drivers might opt for the soft compound as we head deeper into the race. Have to wait and see, though, folks. Strategy is a big question mark right now as Wilson Hughes flies through turn 2. And you'll then open up the DRS, chasing after Tom Manley. So now head down through towards this latter sector. Got a right-hander squeezing the car round at this point. And then back on the power yet again, opening up the throttle as they head through this next right yet again. Down this next straight, and then a tight chicane of sorts as they now work their way through it. Back on the throttle immediately then from Wilson Hughes as they now whip through towards Lakeside Drive. Ismail Fassi looking to try and bring himself into contention against that of Wilson Hughes as well as they head through this next fast-paced left-hander. The Alfa Romeo urging closer and closer and closer. And then whipping through this very fast chicane. Hughes getting closer to Manley this time. Broke to within that 0.2 of a second, as did Fassi as well. Now head down now towards turn 11. Get a look in the mirrors then from Fassi. He's been absolutely outstanding in F2, was brilliant as we said before in the All-Star events, that double overtake which will live long in the memory. I tell you what, you alluded to it too, Jack, earlier on, one of the best overtakes we've already seen at the start of this season as now they whip through the final corner here to begin lap 10 of 29. And as they burst down the straight now, look at the gaps in between Ps 5 and 7. They're being squeezed ever so slightly between Fassi and Hughes. Fassi looking in the mirrors, ever presently in behind that of Wilson Hughes, trying to cover that rear wing in Alfa Romeo colour as now they make their way down towards turn 3. Still no move can be made. Fassi still putting the pressure. That's all he needs to do, Jack. The pressure is all he needs to put on Wilson Hughes.
Yeah, the thing is, Wilson doesn't look like he's feeling it at all because you can see the difference in the ERS already. 75% in Ismail Fassi's car, 95% in Wilson Hughes' car. So not quite feeling the pressure just yet. Ismail Fassi using up a little bit more ERS to try and stay with them as well. Jarno Otmir in a similar situation as well, 73% ERS for him. So a tiny bit less than those around him, having to use a little bit more. Tom Manley as well, just falling away a tad from Jake Benham, 0.7 of a second. Now the gap between him, closing up to 0.8 now, and again 70%. There's the first cut track penalty, goes the way of John Evans in this first race of the season. So Tom Manley is trying to keep with the guys up front. The pace starting to pick up with the top guys now as well. Again, not too much ERS use from these guys. Lap 11 we're about to go on to here. So no sign of pit stop just yet, still very early in the race. And you can start to see some gaps starting to form. Not massive, but when we talk about league racing, gaps of 7 or 8 are quite large.
Yeah, they are indeed at this point. You ideally want to have your car within half a tenth, or sorry, within half a second. Sure, they'd like it within half a tenth, but half a second, yes. Matthias van Erven getting closer and closer to the back of Jarno Otmir as well. As his Dutch counterpart. He's been on the league racing scene for quite some time. Of course, part of the likes of Wilson Hughes in the world of CRG, not to mention other teams as well. He's now since graced the presence of Haas F1 Esports, as Ruben Pedreño picks up a 3-second time penalty himself as well. They make their way through the first sector, in towards the middle sector as well, lap 11 of 29. Not near the halfway point just yet, folks, but we are getting closer in the midst of this race. Very soon the strategies will be unveiled in front of you. Heading through Lakeside Drive again, and just look at this. Matthias van Erven getting close to the back of that Mercedes rear wing. They aggressively attack these curves here on lap 11. Yellow flag in sector 3 already. I believe that's Ruben Pedreño, who's actually retired from the race. So that's 2 retirees already, Jack Canan. Yellow flag in sector 1 now. Looks like Pedreño's car's heading back out onto the track. He did retire in the pit lane, but nevertheless, the AlphaTauri back on the circuit.
Yeah, it's a shame for Pedreño. It has not got this season off to a good start, but second retirement of this Grand Prix so far. Matthias van Erven still keeping Jarno Otmir very honest, but Jarno not rising to the bait, saving the ERS. Matthias has got 65%. Jarno's got close to 90% in front there. So Matthias just going to stick behind for now, stick behind Jarno for now. But lap 12:29, no moves made. The only move that's been made up the front is Barry overtaking Thomas Ronhaar just a couple of laps ago. So it's settled ever since then. Ronhaar obviously not too bothered about overtaking him again. Marcel Kiefer gets the third penalty of this series, and John Evans picks up a second one to add to his woes in P9. That'll drop him basically down to the back outside of the points, down to 16th with that there. So that's 29. There's plenty of time to go in this race. Ronhaar not on the attack, happy to sit behind and just building that gap to Jake Bennett, out to 7/10 of a second right now, and Ronhaar just keeping the rear wing of Barry Burman very, very close to him.
Yeah, just trying to put the pressure on Barry Burman, of course a man that would constantly win races here at the start of a season. Ronhaar doesn't want him to do it again. Ronhaar would like to have his chance at taking the win here this time. Commences PSGL title charge in great fashion. Of course he would love to do it here to make their way in towards turn 1 and turn 2 again. Still Barry Burman out in front. Ronhaar chasing after him. Will open up the DRS as they make their way down towards turn 3. In behind Jake Benham also, just watching all this unfold. As they head through now towards this next right. They've then got the next left to take. All in tandem, within half a second apiece. Further back, Tom Manley sort of just tailing off a little bit from Jake Benham. The top three starting to move away ever so steadily. And Wilson Hughes closer to Manley. The Manley is to Benham. Further down as well, Marcel Kiefer with 3 seconds of time penalties to his name, looming large on his teammate Josh Edo. So we watch the cars now head through the middle sector before then venturing through this next very fast chicane on lap 13 of 29. Burman leads, Ronhaar in behind as well. He'll have DRS before heading down through towards the next right-hander. We're right on board with Thomas Ronhaar as he hurdles down towards turn 11. Of course, with that rear wing opened up, will generate a little bit of pace for him, but obviously Burman doing enough just to hold on to that lead advantage. Ronhaar just doing enough just to stay in proximity, using the toe. It's a question as to whether he'll choose to overtake during the strategy stop or if they choose to duke it out towards the second half of this race. So they get very close to the curve then on the outset of lap 13 to begin lap 14 of 29. Burman now down towards turn 1. Ronhaar just in behind as well. Benham now outside of that half a second gap. He's now reaching 6/10 of a second at this point, with Wilson Hughes once again getting closer to Tom Manley, dragging along Ishmael Fassi as well. So now it's starting to tighten up at the top. I get the feeling that Ronhaar is starting to put the squeeze on Burman here a little bit, Jack.
Just maybe a tiny bit, but Barry, of course, very, very experienced, knows what to do out in the front, and Ronhaar, of course, very much used to leading from the front as well. But question is, who blinks first? Who's going to be the first to dive into the pit lane to kick off these round of pit stops at this first race of the season? Of course, will the undercut work? Will the overcut work? We'll see what happens, but you can see now, gaps, it's just starting to close up a little bit. Of course, Wilson Hughes starting to put some pressure on Tom Manley, if anything, at this point in time, but no sign of him executing an overtake in the next couple of laps or so. It's going to have to take these pit stops to get us underway here with some side-by-side racing. Of course, the first part of races are always like this, folks. This is what it's like. It's a waiting game. As soon as the pit stops start, you can bet that it is going to be a chaotic end to the Grand Prix, because then it's no holds barred. There's our first pit stop. Matthias van Erven gets us underway, George.
Yeah, first man in. You do have to wonder whether that was a premeditated move indeed by the two Haas drivers. Ronhaar perhaps opting to go after him, but Matthias immediately steps in to try and maybe turn something up here. Medium tyres strapped onto the car. So that will take him to the end of the race at this point. And back out of the pit lane in behind as well, being chased by John Evans. Josh Edo as well in behind Alvaro Caraton. Joost Noordijk, who is yet to pit yet, I don't think. So now watching the cars make their way out now. And certainly now, we'll keep our eyes peeled on Thomas Ronhaar as to what he decides to do. But now they've split off into two groups. Leading the way, Barry Burman, Ronhaar still in behind him. Do they opt to pit now? The question is, which of the McLarens will jump first, Jack? Will it be Wilson or will it be Barry?
Well, I have a feeling Wilson is lining up Tom Manley here through the chicane. 1/10 of a second separating them now. Doesn't quite get the exit out though. Does he decide to go for it now? No, he does not. He did not quite get that exit that he needed to get himself alongside Manley here. But if there is going to be a decision made, does Wilson go first or does Barry go first? It's going to be a call for the engineers here to decide. It's going to have to be a very quick decision. Lap 15 of 29, lap 16 coming up. Anybody in the top 2 pit? No, they don't. Don't see anybody
Wilson
peeling
does.
in. Yes, there's Wilson Hughes. Wilson Hughes, the first one to pit. Fassi follows him in from the front. Jarno Watmere staying out. Beresne coming in, as is Marcel Kiefer and Duncan Hoffman. So now the one to watch really now is where is Matthias Van Erven filter out and all this double stack there for at Alfa Romeo. Yeah, that is an interesting call. Was that a miscommunication maybe?
It's a possibility, but a double stack between Fassi and Beresne certainly will make things a little difficult for Beresne. Fassi, of course, getting through first. Joost Noordijk takes the fastest lap of the race on medium, so Alfa Romeo, not a smart move there indeed from them, and unfortunately Beresne is going to suffer as a consequence. Remember, he was in the top 10, folks. He is now down into 14th place. As a result, Wilson, I think, was trying to trick Ismail Fassi into not pitting. Maybe Beresne fell for it. Maybe he thought Fassi was just going to follow him.
Oh, it's very tight. Matthias Van Erven is trying to get by Fassi, as you're mentioning there, on those fresh rubber. Nearly made an undercut work, but they just came out in front in this one, and Van Erven not able to make use of those warm tyres on that lap. Very good defence put up by Ismail Fassi there to stay in front, but Van Erven was not far off them, almost got in front of the two of them. But now back to the front, here comes Thomas Ronnar is in. Ronnar comes in, followed by Benham, and Manley follows. Burman staying out another lap. Now he's going to dump that ERS on the next lap. Opmeer obviously having to stay out because Benham has pitted on this lap. Now we watch the gap to the cars behind. Of course, Wilson Hughes was the man to pit first of that train. Ronnar in his pit box at the moment and is on his way out now, out of the pit lane. Wilson Hughes coming down towards turn 1. You can see the cars on the right hand side now. Remember, he's going to have some brand new warm tyres. So here comes Wilson Hughes with the undercut on Manley through turn 1. Lovely stuff. Fassi follows him through as well, trying to make use of these warm tyres with the undercut. He gets at least one place, maybe won't get another one here, but catches up to Benham and catches up to Ronnar. Now that will worry Barry Burman. He needs this lap to be really quick to stand a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Manley quite counted it. If only if it was a little quicker, the AlphaTauri might have been able to jump outwards, but Wilson Hughes remaining in that 5th spot, still chasing after Jake Benham. Got very close though between the pair. Tom Manley very nearly getting out in front. He's just a little late to the party, unfortunately, but nevertheless still ever present. Wilson Hughes still in 5th, chasing after Benham now. Thomas Ronnar in 3rd. Barry Burman, what's he going to decide to do? Surely he's got to come in on this occasion. He'll very soon surely venture in. He does. Jarno Watmere no doubt will follow him in as well. The two of them, the former championship contenders in PSGL, all coming in together, and here comes Thomas Ronnar now. No question to certainly take the lead of the race, and he'll offer Jake Benham a chance now to certainly strive to the top end as well. Remember, of course, it was between Burman and Ronnar at the very start. The question is, will Burman get out now? Out he comes into the exit of pit road. Will he have enough to stop Ronnar as they come through turns 1 and 2? He does. He's clear, Jack. He still holds on to the lead.
No, he won't.
But
No, he isn't.
Ronnar. No, he's not. Ronnar now takes the lead here in lap 18 of 29.
Yeah, around the outside now, going to try challenge. That's the tyre temperature coming into effect right there. Burman not clear. Benham challenging him as well. Can't quite get by him here. Needs to try and stick with him. His tyres are freezing cold. Doesn't have the temperature. Ronnar trying to break away. Benham trying to find a move here and doesn't quite get alongside him there. Now an opportune moment for Ronnar, trying to break away with the ERS. Nearly 8/10 clear. Burman desperately trying to keep Benham behind him at the same time. Is this where Ronnar wraps up this race here? Barry Burman, desperate to stay in DRS range, has managed to do that, get the tyres up to temperature as well, but Ronnar with the undercut takes the lead. Benham in P3, Wilson Hughes up to 4th, and Ismail Fassi now in the top 5, and it's now Ronnar with the advantage on that undercut. Made that work nicely, but you can see the difference in tyre temperature. Burman came out in front, but had absolutely nothing to answer when Ronnar came through turn 1.
No, not at all. Ronnar looked like the Burman just did enough to hold on, but it wasn't to be. The overspeed from Ronhaar exiting out of turn 2 gave him the chance to tackle Barry Burman, and he absolutely did in great fashion. Jake Benham unfortunately happened to languish in behind the Iranian as they head through the next right and left before hurtling down towards turn 3. Still leading the way, Thomas Ronhaar. The gap now springing to around 5 to 6/10 of a second. Burman now being forced, no doubt, to use the battery jack to stay in that rear wing of Thomas Ronhaar's Haas.
Yeah, indeed. And, well, the thing is now he has managed to stay in DRS. The gap went out to 0.8 of a second. He burned a lot of it just to stay with him. But it is a definitely advantage Ronhaar. But Burman, of course, has the youngest tyres of the guys in the top couple of drivers as well. He's got one lap old tyres compared to Ronhaar's 2 and Jake Benham's 2, as well as Wilson Hughes' 3. So the oldest tyres actually belong to Matthias van Erven, who did get the jump on Otmir in the end with that very large undercut, but Otmir as well on some very fresh tyres in P8. So lots to come. There is going to be 10 laps to go across the line, and this is not over. Absolutely not. Ronhaar is being very patient here, just saving up the ERS, not using it as much. Ido with the move on John Evans there, up to P9 he goes, but those two have penalties, so that'll put Caraton into the points eventually there. But the man who's actually on the attack here, George, Ismail Fassi, very much lining up Wilson Hughes through the final corner right there, and he's up for a great result considering where he started, up in the top 5 here.
Yeah, he's looking extremely quick, Jack. He was literally pushing Wilson Hughes around the final sector, and now once again on the attack with DRS opened up for him. Ismail Fassi being bumped up from F2 to F1, tackles now the Scot Wilson Hughes, long way round, can't quite find a way through, but a switch back from Fassi. He's a masterclass at making overtakes, but not this time. Wilson Hughes defending like his life depends on it, remains in P4 on lap 20 of 29.
Yeah, it was always going to get shown the grass there if he tried to go around the outside. Not going to work there as well. They need to be careful not to fight too hard, though they will lose DRS to the cars in front. But Fassi absolutely fancies a move here, but again, can't afford to lose too much time here. Wilson Hughes struggling a little bit now. He's got 14% ERS here as they come through. And as well, Barry Burman does not want to sit behind Ronhaar. But what it looks like, he was very close to him coming up towards the chicane there, but is still being very patient. Ronhaar not breaking away here, not using ERS either, but this is a fascinating race here. Benham as well doing an excellent job. He's sitting in between the McLarens and being incredibly patient between everything that's happening around them consistently in that third place here. But Fassi now dropping back a little bit, but the closest gap is our leaders, and Barry, you can be sure he wants this win. He wants to keep up his perfect record so far.
Yeah, he loves to start championships, Jack. We've alluded to it all through the broadcast, I have to tell you. But leaving now out of turn 2, DRS opens up for Barry Burman. A look around the outside, slightly defensive there from Thomas Ronhaar as they hurtle around on lap 21 of 29. They'll venture through towards sector 2 very, very soon. They've got a little straight to take out of turn 5. Ronhaar still holding onto that lead of the race. Burman in second, Benham dropping back further. He's outside of 7/10. Joost Noordijk unfortunately picks up a time penalty. Ronhaar though with Barry Burman looking to try and make a charge for the lead here at Melbourne. They head down towards the very far chicane out of Lakeside Drive, now through turns 9 and 10. The McLaren now looming larger and larger. Certainly the DRS will open up here as they run down in towards the latter sector. Once again, Burman just looking in the mirrors, waiting patiently for the moment to strike. Ronhaar though still wants the lead. He knows what a PSGL PC win would mean to his championship charge, as does Barry Burman as well. They head out now turn 13, turn 14 next. Ronhaar still leads as they head down in towards lap 22. Lap 22 on the books now, folks, with Burman still letting fly as they enter turns 1 and 2. Great chance now for Burman. He's within 0.3 of a second and he's letting fly, Jack Canan.
Yeah, he's just putting consistent pressure on, but does not want to make the overtake yet by the looks of it. And Ronhaar's not biting either. He's saving ERS, hasn't used any so far in this battle, and but it is now a chance for Burman. He's saving ERS at the same time while keeping this pressure on. The benefit of the DRS helping him out massively here in this race. So there is still, this is going to be a very, very interesting climax to this race. Everyone from down to P8 is in this big long train. Then it's a 2-second gap back to Josh Ido, and they're in a big train down to 16th place. So two big groups have formed, and also with the fastest lap down the end of the order course. And we will see now Just some more pressure being put on by Buraman down towards the next corner here. But again, Ronar being super patient, is not being baited into using his ERS either. But it's amazing to think, George, we're so used to seeing Ronar up the front of the order, but this may be the first time it converts to a PSGL PCF1 win.
Can you imagine? Could you imagine? Regardless, it'll be a fantastic result for whoever takes it up at the top end. Thomas Ronhaar, though, currently holds on to that advantage. Currently sits within half a second of Barry Buraman, but doesn't want to remain there for too long. Barry Buraman still with DRS as they head down through towards turn 3. The McLaren now once again opens up the rear wing. There is a gap forming now. Ido 2.3 seconds back from Jarno Opmeer, with Matthias van Erven, who's now holding on to 7th. Manley up into 6th as well. The two Dutchmen still together, Matthias and Jarno Opmeer as well. But the tightest gap is certainly between that of Ronhaar and Buraman. Buraman doing absolutely everything to sort of squeeze the pressure onto Thomas Ronhaar, coming off the back of a Sim Racing Championship win as well recently, where he went to a LAN event, of course competing, as I said before, in F1 Esports. He is the jewel in the crown for Team R8G at the moment. Romain Grosjean's F1 Esports team, as Fabrizio Donoso retires from the session as well. He's retired in the pit lane though, so no concerns, but the drama is up at the top because Barry Buraman now looking to attack. Ronhaar goes defensive. Buraman down the outside as they head through turn 11. Side by side they squeeze as they make their way over the curbs. Once again neck and neck, a wing in front. Buraman now leads the race here at Melbourne. What a battle between these two.
Collision.
They touch Jack Canam, they touch.
Oh, it's all kicked off immediately. Barry makes the move. Ronhaar tried to stick it down the inside. No way through. Here comes Ronhaar again. Now that's stacked up the top 5 here. Buraman went for it in an unconventional place. Super move around the outside. He made it work. Buraman leads. Ronhaar second. Benham's now in this. Wilson Hughes in there as well. Ishmael Fassi P5. Tom Manley. And all those guys now stacked up behind. Buraman goes to the lead. Had to use more ERS than he probably would have thought. Then he would have liked to have used, I suppose, but absolutely fabulous move around the outside into that corner. Ronhaar wasn't quite expecting it, tried to stick it back up the inside. There was contact, but they came through unscathed. Now the chance for Buraman to try and get away, but that is completely unexpected. I was not expecting Buraman to go for it this early.
He's been threatening it though, Jack. He was getting closer and closer to the back of Ronhaar's wing, and now executed the move. Ronhaar went so defensive up through towards turn 11. He might get it back though, and might seek revenge here on Buraman should he get a nice bit of overspeed coming out of the very fast turn 10. Once again, DRS open up this time for Thomas Ronhaar as they head down now into sector 3 proper. Turn 11, no move made this time on this lap, but on lap 24 of 29 they'll still venture through the final sector, this time with Buraman on top. Ronhaar in second. Benham now. The gap again springing out between that of P2 and P3. It's now out to 6.5 tenths. Ronhaar now will have DRS as they make their way down through towards turn 1. Buraman now taking them through. Lap 25 of 29. Ronhaar now using the DRS to get closer. He'll push him around turn 1 and turn 2. And as they head down the straight, leading down towards turn 3, Ronhaar will spy a chance. Rear wing opens up now as they head down towards turn 3 this time. No move can be made. Buraman doing enough to keep the air in between him and Ronhaar, but nevertheless, this battle is far from over.
It remains to be seen whether this will be the right call. Ronhaar has more ERS and has got the bit between his teeth to get that position back. Is this the right move for Barry Buraman to have gone for it that early? Ronhaar now has a chance to save up. There's Luke Smith retiring in the pit lane. The 4th retirement from this race so far now. Was this the right call for Buraman to go with this early? Ronhaar trying to come back at him now. 50% charge in the ERS, not much between them, but it gives a chance for Ronhaar to sit back and wait to see and build up this move now. Down towards the next corner he goes. No way through for now, but the laps are ticking down. This could get very interesting. Buraman trying it in an unconventional place. Could now Ronhaar tried in a very unconventional place later on. Lap 26 of 29, and this is going to be a grandstand end.
Yeah, absolutely right. Very soon they'll cross the line to commence this next lap. Coming down to the final 4, in fact, folks, now, as we're seeing them come together yet again. Barry Buraman taking them down towards turn 1, with Thomas Ronhaar in hot pursuit, once again breaching into that 2 tenths gap. If he can get the speed, heading down towards turn 3, he can retake that P1 that he did lose. DRS opens up again, this time for Thomas Ronhaar. As they head down, a late move, a look in the mirror instead. No move made, this time from Thomas Ronhaar. I get the sense, Jack, the pressure is on. I'm guessing that Ronhaar might pick the least expected moment for Buraman in order to make that key move for P1. As they head down now towards the next right, Wilson Hughes starting to, well, certainly gap away now from Jake Benham, but I tell you what, Thomas Ronhaar looks ever prosaic in that P2 place.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to go for it there, but Boorman defended with the ERS down into that third corner. So he had to back out of it. He definitely thought about it, looked for it, but it wasn't quite there for him. Good run for Boorman through the chicane there, used a bit of ERS to get away. So he's managing this for now, but down to 35% ERS, 48 from Ronhaar. We got to move in the back. That is Otmir and Van Erven side by side. Otmir trying to go round him here into the next corner, around the outside for Otmir. Can he stay in front? Contact through the corner. How have they stayed alive? Otmir stays in front just about through there, but I think they may have lost DRS for that move. Yes, he has. Otmir does not have DRS and will be at the mercy of Van Erven for the second time. I don't know how they managed to stay in front right there, but Van Erven with absolutely no DRS or ERS to deal with there, or to respond with, but very interesting through that corner there. But Otmir back up to P7 with that move around the outside with that slight contact. Lap 27 of 29. If anything, George, I reckon Ronhaar will either do it this or next lap to try and get away.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. We'll join the action at the top end with Barry Boorman and Thomas Ronhaar once again just within 3/10. It was just within 3/10. It's just gone out slightly between the pair. Otmir and Matthias van Erven, though, what a duel on that last lap. Otmir getting that superb move done on that previous run, heading through the final sector. Once again, though, Thomas Ronhaar looking very devastating here as they venture through towards the final sector here of lap 27 of 29. Just 2 laps away now, very shortly, from the end of this Grand Prix. It'll all come down to one last lap of magic. Can Boorman unleash yet again his superior record here at the start of a PSGL season? It's looking good right now, but Ronhaar looks so dangerous. And what about the All-Star, Jake Benham as well, 3rd place, and looks set to record yet another podium here, this time at PSGL, as we're now watching the cars make their way down the straight. Ronhaar still trying to get closer and closer. He will with the use of DRS as they head down towards turn 1. Between Boorman and Ronhaar now still very close together, within 2/10 still as they venture out of turn 2, down through towards turn 3, down this long straight. Will he open the door this time on Barry Boorman? Had a look at it once again. The pressure is mounting here with 2 laps to go here in the PSGL PCF1 race, the first race here in Australia. Hope you're all enjoying this, folks. Strap yourselves in. This is going to be a hellacious ride.
I think Barry is doing the bare minimum to stay in front through that corner, but that is the second time Ronhaar's looked for it into turn 3, and there's just been enough for him to stay in front. Barry actually now has more ERS after that small exchange, so this may be the opportunity for Ronhaar. If he's going to do it now, he needs to do it in the next lap and a half around Australia. Here he comes now in the DRS. He's dumping the ERS down towards the next corner. Is he enough alongside? No, he's not quite enough alongside, but there's only going to be a few more opportunities now. 25% DRS for Barry, 22% for Ronhaar. They're equal. This is an excellent job from both of them. Benham, though, has 60%. He could come into play here. Do not count out Jake Benham in the back. Onto the final lap of the first race of the PSGL F1 PC season at Australia. It's Boorman versus Ronhaar. Has Boorman just done the bare minimum to stay in front here? Ronhaar through turn 1 and turn 2 then. Boorman uses the ERS on the exit now, dumping the ERS down towards the straight he goes. Ronhaar in behind him. Is he close enough? I'm not sure he is. He looks to the inside. No, he's not close enough to go for the move here. Boorman managing this to perfection through turn 3 and turn 4. 13% for Ronhaar, 24% for Boorman. He's got a 10% more charge. He is managing this through the infield. Through the next corner he goes again now. Onto the power. Back on the ERS button. Dumping that through here now. Ronhaar is running out of chances. Down to 5% ERS. He's got nothing left. He's got nothing left to answer. And Boorman's got a tiny bit more to try and stay in front. There is one last opportunity now for Ronhaar to try and take this win. He's got a penalty. He's got a penalty. That's not what he needed. That's the end of the charge for Ronhaar, unless there's a steward's inquiry. Keeping an eye on this though now. Ronhaar down to the inside of the next corner. Does he have enough to go alongside? No, he does not have enough to try and get in front of this man. Once again, has he done enough to try and take the first round of the season for the 4th time, the 3rd or 4th time in a row? He's done it again. Barry Boorman around the last corner. First blood for the next round. Again, Barry Borman wins the season opener of PSGL BC. And with the penalty, Jake Benham will get second. Wilson Hughes on the podium. Ronar with the penalty on the final lap. Down to 7th. Ishmael Fassi finishes a brilliant 4th. Manley in 5th. Opmeer, Ronar, Van Erven, Beresne and Edo picks up the final point by just 600ths of a second. He's done it again, George. Barry Borman wins.
You just can't stop him. No one could stop him at the start of a season. Barry Borman, race winner here in the PSGL PC Championship, the first round of the season. Yet again, he has done it, folks. Sensational job indeed for the McLaren driver. The F1 Esports McLaren driver as well takes the top plaudits. What a win for Barry Burman. Heartbreak for Thomas Ronhaar, who gets moved down to P7 after challenging for that lead. Ran over the track limit. But how about the new blood, folks? The new blood that have stepped up here in the world of PSGL. Credit to Jake Benham as well. A wonderful second place due to the penalty. Gets his podium. Not to mention Wilson Hughes up there as well. The two former CRG counterparts together on the podium. Just in behind that of Barry Burman. But how about Tom Manley, Ishmael Fassi as well? Those young pretenders, the new names looking to strap themselves in for the title race. What a start to their championship charge, Jack Canan.
Now, of course, these are provisional results. Penalties may be removed and so on and so forth. But still, I thought that Barry had made the move too early. I was very wrong. That was a masterclass in defending and managing up the front right there. And I don't know what it is about Barry Borman and season openers, but that is the 4th time he has won the season opener in a row in PSGL. He's won every single season opener since the series began, and he continues to do that. Now, the question is, can he win the first round and go on to win the title? Let's see. But again, I think that could be the story of the season, what we saw out there. Ronar versus Borman. Brilliant to watch.
Well, it's not the first time we've had a Dutchman challenge Barry Burman. Remember, it was Jana Watmere, of course, in the first season. Barry Burman taking the first win this season. How important could that be? Starts very strongly. Jake Benham 2nd, Wilson Hughes 3rd, Ishmael Fassi in 4th, Tom Manley in 5th. What a start from Tom Manley. Jana Watmere in 6th, Thomas Ronhaar 7th, Matthias van Erven, Haas both in the points section of this standing. Danny Beresne 9th, Josh Edo up into 10th, Duncan Hofland up to 11th as well. A great charge from P16. Joost Noordijk finishing in 12th after starting 20th. Not bad at all. Marcel Kiefer 14th, John Evans, Philip Presnader, of course, we lost Smith, Donoso Pedreño, and Will Lewis, unfortunately. But wow, what a start, guys. What a start. Incredible start to a season here at PSGL. Well, it's Barry Burman again, Jack. It's Barry Burman again. I tell you what, we ought to start just saying, look, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to land the first race win. But I've got to give a lot of credit to the young pretenders, Ishmael Fassi and Tom Manley. Credit as well to Wilson Hughes and Jake Benham. They profited off the error. But how about those young stars moving their way from F2 up into F1 and still so vast contenders in this championship? They've got a great chance here to get a good result.
Yeah, they really do. They showed what they're capable of. And yeah, Ishmael Fassi in a 4th place, provisional 4th place as well. It sounds like we may have some result changes as well. It sounds like a lot of double warnings potentially from a couple of guys. But yeah, it was either way, it was a great showing of pace. Tom Manley consistently up there, as well as Ishmael Fassi coming from further down the order. I think he started 11th, finishing in the top 10 as well. Brilliant job from him. And yeah, it's a great sign of the future. But again, it was Barry and Ronar up the top, and Jake Benham just sitting there and being patient. Got a podium out of it in P3. Great job from him as well. So this is what we like to see. We like to see them mixing it up with each other across the board. But yeah, brilliant race, and again, brilliant management from Barry Borman, and great racing as well between himself and Thomas. Despite the contact, it still remained clean throughout.
It did. It was absolutely brilliant. I have to tell you, folks, it was brilliant to watch. We did see some. It got a bit samey, I think, towards the start of the race. I think obviously the drivers just getting set for the strategy section. It's something we always see when it comes to racing, certainly here on the F1 game. You know, generally you get through the first half of the race, and then all of a sudden the strategy then hits us, and then as soon as the changes come through, that's when they start certainly putting pedal to the metal, to call an abbreviation, and try and hammer home a big result. And that's exactly what we saw. Ronhaar and Barry fighting it out. Unfortunately for Ronhaar, that penalty proved so costly as well, Jack. And of course, he's going to be wondering what could have been after that.
Yeah, just checking in the Discord, it sounds like he actually got a triple warning on the final lap. So if that's the case, then he may get it removed, but we'll have to wait and see. It's all up to the stewards and if all the drivers have got footage of it. But triple warning on the final lap, that's interesting, especially when you're fighting for the for the lead. I actually don't think I've ever seen a triple warning to get an immediate penalty for cutting corner. Either that, or you managed to get 3 warnings on the final lap. But we'll wait and see. But either way, it'll be very, very interesting to watch. Let's see if it gets. Let's see what the stewards think. They've got a busy day.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting time, certainly for the PSGL stewards. But let's remind you, folks, of what's to come at the PSGL PC F1 Championship. We've just finished at Australia. We head over to the United Arab Emirates for the Abu Dhabi race. Of course, that's coming up next on the 25th of January, of course being next week. And then the 1st of February, it's off to Austin, Texas, for the United States Grand Prix. It's then off to Saudi for the race at Jeddah. That's on the 8th of Feb, followed up by Brazil, which is at Sao Paulo. That's on the 15th of February. 22nd of February is the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya in Spain. 1st of March, Singapore at Marina Bay. We're then heading to France, the Castellet, Paul Ricard, for round 8 of the championship. Round 9 is at Portimao on the 15th of March, with the 10th race being held at Red Bull Ring at Austria, Spielberg, of course, in the Styrian Mountains on the 22nd of March. 11th will be when we host, or round 11 will be Baku. Of course, the dreaded castle section at Azerbaijan will be upon us on the 29th of March. And then it's off to Shanghai in China on the 5th of April for round 12. Round 13, the penultimate event at Mexico City on the 12th of April with Bahrain and Sakhir, the last round on the 14th as well. So we're looking forward to those races, to say the least. We've got Barry Burman waiting up. We've got all of them waiting up. We're going to kickstart, I think, with our race winner, Jack Kinnan. Let's bring in the one, the only Barry Burman. I tell you what, great to have this young man with us here tonight. Barry Burman, race winner once again, the first race of the PSGL season. You like round 1, Barry?
First of all, hello to everyone watching and you guys. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the record for like 3 seasons now, right?
Yeah, I think it is. You've done it third time. You did it in the first season. You went 3 races unbeaten at the start of the championship in our first season. Then you did it again in the 3rd season, where you took the top spot on the opening round as well. You've just done it again, Barry. Brilliant style.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that race was intense. Not gonna lie, like I had to push the whole lap. Probably like last 5 laps was a little bit tricky, but yeah, everything went perfect and everything went well. And then yeah, that was the race win, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was a tremendous race. Certainly yourself and Thomas Ronhaar battling with each other through the final sector on the last lap. It was going to come to that. I think it was always going to happen. But nevertheless, you pulled off the win you needed. Obviously, you were partnered with Lucas Blakely throughout the F1 esports season. But what's it like now partnering with a character like Wilson Hughes? Obviously, it's another Scotsman that you've got to contend with. Is he just as fast?
Yeah, I mean, Wilson been my teammate the whole season. As we said so many times, he did so much work. Like I remember there was a thing missing in our data and everything. He was just doing it like 24/7. So yeah, and then I know like personality and everything, and then yeah, probably Wilson is as fast as Lucas, as me. He's really competitive, and I really enjoy practicing with him.
Yeah, well, you got yourself a great start here, of course. Big points going to McLaren already after the end of the first race at Australia. Looking ahead now, it's Abu Dhabi next. What are your thoughts of doing exactly what you did in the first season, where you took 3 in a row? Can you make it 2 in a row this season, Barry? What are your thoughts on Abu Dhabi?
I just don't know, because even when I came to race here, you know, after esport, I was you know, I just wanted to be a little bit like out of the social media and everything after esport finished. And yeah, after like 2 weeks ago, I just decided to do PSGL, and yeah, and then you know, like I feel I wanted to do a content, and I actually missed doing some racing, and then I back, and then I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go and do my best, and as I always said, this is always the target for me. And then even for the next round, I really like all the track, like especially Abu Dhabi, I like it. So as I said, I'm just gonna go do my best, and yeah, let's see what's gonna happen.
Well, I'm sure it will be an interesting fight, to say the least. Congratulations on another great start to a season, Barry, and we'll look forward to Abu Dhabi next time.
Yeah, thank you so much, George and Jack, for the commentating, and everyone who's watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Ciao, ciao.
Very kind. Thank you, Barry. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah.
Next,
Ciao,
see you. See you. Next up, we have the All-Star. We call him the All-Star. Jake Benham, of course. We're just going to move him into the commentary box with us. Jake Benham joins us here live on the PSGL broadcast. Jake, congratulations, my friend. Regardless of what it was going to be a podium, a great performance. Thomas Ronnar, though, slipping up towards the end. A 3-second time penalty gave you P2. You must be really, really pleased with the result.
Yeah, it was pretty good considering I went into it like with a lot of uncertainty because as you know, the chicane was a bit of a dodgy one for everyone. So yeah, a lot of uncertainty, but yeah, it's a good start to the championship at least. No surprise who was at the top fighting. But yeah, it was good to finally get up the top and start battling them again like last season. But yeah, it was overall a pretty good race.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch your ascension, really, Jake, heading through from where you were, obviously, since you signed with Mercedes, of course, as part of the F1 esports team. Obviously, getting experience in the final event, event 4, where you would partner Jarno on that occasion. I mean, it must feel good to firstly finish in front of your teammate here on the opening race, but not only that, also claim a podium. Sights of better things to come for the Mercedes team looking ahead to the championship?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can ever really count, especially Jarno, out, just because he has the ability to get like a podium or win from no matter what his pace is. But yeah, we're definitely not out of it. Granted, like you saw in F1 esports, we don't have the raw pace of like the top 2 teams, I'd say. But yeah, we definitely can fight for the championship if we both keep hooking it up. And yeah, it should be quite a tight fight at the top of the standings.
Yeah, and I asked Barry this earlier on as well when he was here. I mean, looking ahead now to Abu Dhabi, that's been round 2. What are your thoughts when we head there for our next round?
Yeah, I quite like it, except the potholes. But yeah, if they get fixed, it should be quite a good track, quite
moles,
good, entertaining race.
They've got in Abu Dhabi.
Exactly.
Terrible. But yeah, we'll wait and see how you get on. But a great start, Jake, nonetheless. And I'm sure you'll enjoy that one. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back again with us next week.
Yep. Cheers.
Nice one. Cheers, Jake. Nice job. Awesome job. Next up, we have the Scotsman himself, another McLaren driver, joining us in the commentary box. None other than the great Wilson Hughes. Wilson, welcome to the commentary box, my friend. Yourself and Barry gave us certainly something to watch out there. It was a tremendous battle for the McLaren team. Big points going your way as well. And I suppose you can take a lot of positives out of that first race.
Yeah, definitely, George. It was a very good race, both for me and Barry and McLaren. It was very fast-paced at the front. I struggled a little bit towards the end, just with tyres going away since we'd done that early undercut. But yeah, definitely a lot of positives to take from that race. You know, sitting out 4 or 5 months and then properly coming back and racing against some proper good drivers. It feels good to be able to fight at the top.
Yeah, definitely. And a great chance for you to shine as well, because unfortunately, due to the big title battle between that of Barry and Lucas, you didn't have an opportunity to show what you could do in F1 esports. But a great chance here against similar opposition here in PSGL, certainly in race 1. And you proved to be a very, very, very tight-knit contender. Obviously, McLaren would be delighted with the way that you've performed out there today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helps that, you know, throughout the season last year in F1 esports, I was practicing with Lucas and Barry, and you learn a lot from practicing with World Championship contending drivers, and I've really tried to take that into my stride heading into this season. There's a lot of things I've changed heading into this season. I've tried to be a little bit more mature in the way I approach things, the way I race, and just trying to deal with the pressure, to be honest. It can be quite a lot, so it's definitely a really nice way to start off the season. There's 30 more races, so we can't say too much, but yeah, hopefully McLaren are delighted with the way that went.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a great start, and obviously big points for yourselves. And like I asked the others, I mean, what are your thoughts heading to Abu Dhabi next time?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi. Tough thing about that is a lot of the grid have drove that track a lot for esports, and I have not. So I think I will be slightly in the back foot. That's one of my excuses, getting out early. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I like the track. It's a tough track, especially that last sector with tyres going away. But we'll have to wait and see until we turn up. You know, things change very quick in this world.
Yeah, they do indeed, but you can be pleased with where you started anyway, and you never know, could be the start of something magical for yourself, Wilson. But congratulations on a brilliant result today. Great result for McLaren as well as a team. Look forward to seeing you at Abu Dhabi, my friend.
Thank you very much, George and Jack. See you later, guys.
See you later, Wilson. See you later. Last but not least, we're going to bring in Big C, the boss of PSGL as well. He's going to say a few words to us all. Connor, great to have you with us, my friend. I mean, obviously, we've just witnessed an interesting race at Australia. It wasn't quite the firecracker start that we like to see from time to time, but nevertheless, when the strategy came in, we saw a big fight towards the end.
Yeah, hello everyone, and yeah, I mean, it was what we wanted really, a nice, smooth, clean race. You know, it was a great battle between Barry and Ron for the win, and obviously we had all like the young guys like Wilson, Jake, Tom, and Ismail all really fighting for the podium. So I guess that's what league racing is all about, isn't it, George? You know, seeing obviously there's established names trying on the front, but also the guys behind fighting for their futures in esports. So a great first race.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the names up in the top end, you've got the likes of Fassi, the likes of Tom Manley, and those names, new drivers that have sort of had to grind their way to the top. And it's quite humbling to see them up in the top end fighting off some of these guys, beating a lot of very, very good competitors, certainly competitors that have gone close to winning F1 esports titles in the past, including drivers that have won F1 esports titles in the past. So could it be yet again we're seeing the new generation rise up, and obviously this time we could see it in PSGL as well?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I feel like, you know, some esports teams need to be watching, because, you know, probably there's a few teams lower in the championship from the pro season where they're like, they need to refresh their rosters, and I think there's drivers in PSGL who've been performing for a long time, even if they're like 14, 15, 16, like the 16-year-olds now, like Tom and so on. So I think it's a great opportunity, but, you know, it is the first race and it is Australia, so I think a lot will change. It's a very unique track with the curbs and everything like that, but, you know, a great first race for, let's say, some of the younger talent. Also, you know, Wilson Hughes and Jake Benham, obviously they'll be looking to secure full-time seats for 2023, and I think, yeah, they've just proven why, again, you know, they are the top of the, say, the younger generation. So great stuff.
Yeah, the cream of the crop, should we say, here at the top end
Yeah.
of PSGL. But again, it's been a growth as well for PSGL as well, because not only obviously is the partnership with GT Omega continued as well, Connor, but also we've got Williams now on the broadcast too with their esports lounge, which I'll be attending, of course, next week. I mean, just talk about the fact that we've had such a long break in between us having PCF1 action back, and it must be quite pleasing to have the premier event of the actual league, the organisation back live, should we say?
Yeah, I guess nowadays it's sort of what everyone knows PSGL for. It is that top tier, it is that Wednesday night race. So I guess we sort of need it in terms of our growth, because I don't think our subscribers and YouTube really growed from September to now. So I guess it's important that it is back, and also, you know, we are the top league, so it's important. As like you say, you know, GTMA got our title sponsors, so a big thanks to them. To be honest, like without those guys, it would be impossible for me, you know, to really commit so much time to PSGL and make it sort of like as a part-time job, same with Kryptonite. So a big thanks to them. Also, Williams Esports also sort of getting involved with league racing as well, which is great to see. You know, an F1 team, one of the most successful ever, with all their, you know, success in the 90s and 80s. So it's great to see that they're taking notes. So I think it really is just it's still the start of something really amazing. But, you know, we're just going to keep working hard, and hopefully we have another great season.
Yeah, have you got anything to say to our current audience that we have here at PSGL right now?
Well, I mean, I could say thanks to everyone for, you know, supporting us after all this time. You know, I've been in PSGL for 10 years now, so it's always crazy to see when we've got even over 1,000 viewers. Like, people are watching that. When I used to race on the PlayStation, we'll be happy to get 50-40, you know, on a good day. So, you know, it is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. So yeah, big special thanks to everyone. And yeah, just keep it a bit nicer in the chat. Obviously, I know there's a lot of allegations, a lot of rumours. Like, you guys, most of you don't have a clue what you're talking about when it comes to like cheating and all this sort of rubbish. So, you know, just keep it a bit lower down, and yeah, have a bit of respect for the drivers, and just enjoy the racing, because that's why we're here. Just enjoy the show. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wise words from Connor indeed. And we'll look ahead as well to Abu Dhabi as well, folks. And if I haven't said it already, please make sure you leave a like and also subscribe to the PSGL channel as well. You'll see the best racing, the Premier racing, the Premier League racing, should we say, when it comes to this broadcast, certainly in this very tier in the world of Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. Plenty of other races that go on as well on consoles as well as PC, so make sure you check all those out as well. Premier Sim Gaming Leagues are also very active on social media. You can check them out on Twitter. Not only that, you can also check them out on Instagram as well, at Premier Sim GL. Make sure you follow those channels. You can stay up to date with all the latest news, not to mention the latest broadcasts that come out of PSGL as well. Not to mention, you can check me out as well. I mean, why not? I'm here. At George Morgan TV is where you can find me, folks, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well if you want to, as well as Jack Canan. Jack, do share your social tag, if you please.
Yeah.
Yes, we're back there again.
Yeah, of course. So if you want to get me on Instagram, it's Jack_Canan. Don't forget the underscore. And if it's on Twitter, it's at JackCComs. 2 C's. Don't forget the 2 C's. I always say that every season. Before we go as well, George, I also want to say big congratulations to Lucas Blakely, who's qualified for the E-Race Champions.
Yes.
Alongside Jarno Watmir and Michael Romanidis. It's PSGL, guys.
It's PSGL, guys. What can we say? The best league in the world. It brings you the best drivers in the world. What can we say, folks? It's been a pleasure to bring you all the action, folks. Barry Burman reigns at the top once again, just like he did in Season 28 and Season 30. But can he do it again at Abu Dhabi? Catch us next week to find out. Take care, folks. Goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega, proudly supporting PSGL.